With nothing officially finalized on the trade front, your Rangers sharpen their focus on the game at hand. Tonight's matchup features a pair of veteran pitchers looking for a groove. Giovanni Gallardo, trying to bounce back from a pair of rough starts, faces CC Sabathia, still searching for the form that made him a perennial all-star. Your Rangers and the New York Yankees finish up the regular season series next on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T UVerse TV. And it is a 101-degree evening here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. And the Rangers looking to turn up the heat even more on the New York Yankees as the Rangers and the Bronxers finish up this series. And welcome in, everyone. Along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby, glad you joined us for this Thursday night of Ranger baseball. Rangers coming off a good win last night, a 5-2 victory over the Yankees. And the Rangers will turn tonight to Giovanni Gallardo. Tom, Giovanni has been very good in this ballpark this year.
He has, Buzz, and his last two starts haven't gone his way. Yeah. They've both been on the road. They both were 4-inning starts. He gave up 5 runs in each start. And in each start, 4 innings, he threw 92 or 93 pitches. So he struggled. Good news is he's pitched really well in this ballpark. Loves pitching in the heat. He grew up in Fort Worth. He's had 9 home starts. His record is only 4-4 because the Rangers have not supported him with many runs. But he's got a great ERA. Opponent's batting average is .234. Kept the ball in the ballpark. Not many extra base hits. And hopefully he'll be able to do that against a pretty good hitting Yankee team.
Yep, very good hitting Yankee team. They are still the division leaders in the AL East. So Giovanni Gallardo and company trying to tone that down just a bit again here this evening. See if they can get a W and split this 4-game series with the Yankees. So Gallardo and the Rangers getting set to take on the Yankees. A nice home crowd filing in to Globe Life Park. We are back with the starting lineups for the first pitch right after this. on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer to kick off the summer right. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. The temperature down to 100 degrees even here at Globe Life Park. Brisk breeze coming out of the northeast from left field corner to right field corner. Rangers and Yankees getting set to finalize this series here tonight. Before we get things underway, let's head down to the field and check in with Emily Jones.
Buzz, as you well know, so much anticipation and speculation this time of year. This, the eve of the trade deadline. The Rangers obviously very heavily involved in a lot of conversations the last 24 hours or so, and those conversations continue. And one player's name who has been bantered about and continues to be bantered about is tonight's starting pitcher.
It's something that I can't control. I just got to go out there and pitch well for this team. And, we understand that it's a must-win. We have to win every game from here on out, and we understand that. So it's up to us whether we get the job done or not.
So obviously playing a baseball helps to take these guys' minds off of things like the possibility of being traded or what's going to happen with their teammates. But still, at the end of the day, human nature takes over. Hard not to let those thoughts creep in, but hopefully they will not affect Yovani Gallardo's performance here tonight, Buzz.
All right, Ed, thank you. Now, Yovani out beginning his warm-up tosses, and Tom's going to tell you now about the Yankee lineup that he will face tonight.
He'll face a Yankee lineup that starts with center fielder Jacoby Ellsbury, followed by Brett Gardner, the left fielder. Alex Rodriguez is the designated hitter. Mark Teixeira, the cleanup hitter. Brian McCann will bat fifth and catch. Carlos Beltran is in right field. Chase Headley is seventh. He'll play third base. The shortstop, hot-hitting Didi Gregorius, and batting ninth, the second baseman, Stephen Drew.
And that lineup put together by Joe Girardi in his 8th season with the Bronx Bombers. And our progressive scouting report on Yovani Gallardo, 7-9, but with a fine ERA of 3.19. 21 starts this season. Trying to shake off the poor results from the last couple of times out. And how he's going to do that is just go back to the basics. Looks to utilize his cut fastball and curveball a little more efficiently tonight. That he had just gotten away from what has made him very good over his career. Yovani stressing the point that nothing secret about it. It's not complicated. Go out and do well what he does well, and he'll be just fine. So see if he can take that out tonight and get a W for the Rangers. Ranger defense tonight delivered to you by Chicken Express. Outfield this evening against the left-hander CC Sabathia. You have Ryan Rua in left, the liner to Shields in center. Shin-Soo Choo is in right. Prince Fielder the start at first base this evening. Adam Rosales at second. Elvis Andrus at short. Adrian Beltre at the hot corner. And Robinson Chirinos is catching. No, Jacoby Ellsbury stepping in to get things underway here tonight. The Yankees come in first place in the AL East. They are 6 games in front of the pack. And that pack pretty well bunched up behind them. Yankees at 57-43, the second best record in the American League. First pitch of the night is in for strike one. Ellsbury hitting at .289 with 3 home runs and 17 driven in. Ellsbury career-wise 3 out of 6, as you can see, against Yovani Gallardo. 0-1 pitch. Looped in the left field. That is going to be down for a base hit. Rua over to cut it off. He can't. It's by him. Ellsbury not stopping at second. He is going to motor into third. And the leadoff man for the Yankees all the way around to third base.
Oh, what a way to start the game. Make a good pitch. Jam the hitter. It's a little bit of a blooper right over third. Probably going to be a double. Add the error to it. Leadoff hitter ends up on third after this. Little jam shot blooper. And Ryan's thinking, I've got to get to it quickly. I've got to come up firing.
Well, that thing hit something.
What did that hit? Oh, you see a little indentation in it right there.
A sprinkler head down there that the grass covering didn't quite cover all of it up, and that shot by Ryan Rua. My goodness.
I think when you watch that replay, you can make a case for that being a triple.
Yeah, I agree with you. Gardner on the first pitch. Skies one to center field. That is enough for Ellsbury to tag and come on down the line to score. And the Yankees out to a very quick 1-0 lead.
You know, it's one thing to make an error, and that looked like an error, but you see the sprinkler head is covered right there. It hits. Ryan puts his glove where the ball should have been and bounced straight over his glove. He has no idea how that happened right now. And I don't think you can give him an error on that if you really watch the replay.
Yeah, the official score has so far, but
I would have thought error all the way too.
Yeah,
we showed that.
It could be subject to change upon further review, as they say. Will Rudd is the official score tonight, and Will take that under advisement. In any event, Yankees out in front 1-0. And Alex Rodriguez taking strike one. Rodriguez tied for the team lead with 24 home runs, hitting at .278 as he takes the pitch just off the outer edge. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rodriguez, a bunch of milestones this year, and he has had quite a year. However you feel about Alex Rodriguez personally, you have to admit that he is quite a story just on the baseball field. A 5-game hitting streak coming into play tonight that's seen him hit .381. He's had 4 home runs in those 5 games. He had a 3 home run game in Minnesota, the last stop on this road trip for the Yankees. 2-2 now. Rodriguez picking up his 3,000th career hit back in June. And that, by the way, was a home run off Justin Verlander. And home runs this year. See Rodriguez and Teixeira, the 2 teammates, tied for 5th in the American League. 3-2 as Gallardo misses low and outside. Well, Rodriguez hitting 3rd in the order. He'll be followed by his teammate Mark Teixeira. Gallardo into the wind, and the payoff pitch. Hard one hopper flagged down by Elvis. Nice play by the Rangers shortstop, Jugon.
You look at the Yankee lineup, Buzz. They've got Alex Rodriguez hitting 3rd, Mark Teixeira hitting 4th, and when you look at the Comeback Player of the Year award, both of those guys have to be in the conversation.
Yep.
Texas coming off 2 years ago, he was hurt almost the whole year. Last year he hit .216. And a solid year this year. As we all know what Alex last 3 or 4 years have been like. And he's having a pretty solid year himself. I'm not sure who the other candidates are, but they have to be 2 of them.
And the Rangers have one at first base tonight that
there you go.
Stands out. Prince Fielder.
Right.
Coming back from a very difficult surgery last year. 1 ball and 1 strike to Teixeira. High in the air, pretty deep center field. Going back is DeShields. He is at the wall. That ball's gone. Home run number 25 for Teixeira, and the Yankees lead 2-0.
I was hoping it was going to be very similar to an earlier game in this series where Tex hit a ball right at the wall and Martin jumped up right at the top of the wall and took it back. That one was hit high and came down behind the wall. There's nothing Delino could have done, nothing that Martin could have done on this one, but the pitch out over the plate. In the open, we showed how well Giovanni has pitched in this ballpark and how he's kept the ball in the ballpark, but Teixeira gets a hold of this one and hits it about 410 feet, I guess, for a home run.
No, very quickly, 2-0 New York. Here's Brian McCann. Takes strike 1. McCann hitting at .250, 15 home runs, 58 RBI. McCann with a significant amount of experience against Gallardo from the National League days. McCann with the Braves, of course, and Giovanni with Milwaukee. Gallardo to the wind, back to the plate. And a chopper foul. Well, you see McCann wear out the folks on the first base side in this series. He's pulling foul balls consistently down there. And fans lined up, buy tickets on the first baseline just to get a souvenir when he comes back. McCann 1 out of 4 in last night's ball game. Did not play on Tuesday. Had that night off. A time called. Giovanni and Robinson Chirinos not able to get together on the signs. Now Gallardo has the one he wants, and instead stops his windup. 1-2 pitch. Tried the back door, that cutter slash slider. 2-2 now. McCann in his second year with the Yankees. Hard hit to right. That is down for a hit. Over to cut it off is Chu. He's going to hold McCann to a long single. Brian McCann continues the first inning. Yankees now have had 3 hits, all for extra bases, 2 doubles, and a home run. Excuse me, a single, a double, and a home run.
The Yankees have a solid lineup, veteran lineup. We said earlier in this series, as long as they stay healthy, they can definitely swing the bat, put runs on the board.
The Yankees come in second in the American League in runs scored this year. They're trailing Toronto. 479 runs scored for Yankees coming into play tonight. Carlos Beltran takes high and away. Beltran, 254, 8 home runs, 31 RBI. Beltran, another Yankee that has significant number of at-bats against Giovanni Gallardo. Beltran 1 out of 4 in last night's ball game. Back off the disabled list for about a week, a little over a week now. He had a left oblique strain. Only active player with 15 or more home runs in a season with 5 different teams. Carlos Beltran takes that one low, and the count moves to 3-1. Well, Giovanni forced to work overtime here on this warm evening at Golobai Park. His next pitch will be the 22nd of this first inning. A tapper that is foul. Prince trying to shield one umpire out of the way and give the other one a very good look at it, but Jerry Meals down there, of course, wasn't buying it.
Giovanni, we mentioned in his last 2 starts, has thrown a total of 8 innings, 4 innings in each start, and had to use 92 and 93 pitches in each one of those 4 inning starts. Kind of on track for the same amount right now, with 23rd pitch coming up.
Beltran waiting. McCann on the move. Payoff pitch outside, ball 4. So home run followed by a single and a walk. 2 aboard with 2 outs. Chase Headley. Now coming up, Mike Maddox, who has known Giovanni since his days in Milwaukee when Giovanni first came up. Mike Maddox has an awful lot of respect for Giovanni Gallardo, his work ethic and his pitching aptitude.
Well, Giovanni in June was 2-0 with an 0.54 ERA. Pretty much untouchable in the month of June. July hasn't been quite as good. The ERA is right around 5 in July. Trying to get back on track. Had a win against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium back in May. 2 runs in 6 innings.
1-0 pitch to Chase Headley. That is in. 1 ball and 1 strike. Headley has been one of the hottest Yankee hitters. Last 3 ball games, all against the Rangers, 6 for 12 with a couple of runs driven in. And for the month of July, Headley is hitting .370. Pulls that one foul outside first. The count moves to a ball and 2 strikes. Headley, the switch hitter, came over from the San Diego Padres last year. Former Ranger Yankees Solarte went over to San Diego in exchange. McCann at second, Beltran at first. Gallardo with the 1-2 pitch. Looper into left center field. That's going to be down for a base hit. Around third, coming in to score is McCann. The throw goes to third. Beltran has to go up to meet it. And the Yankees now with runners at the corners a run home, and they lead 3-0.
Well, they've hit a couple of balls hard. Teixeira's home run was well hit. McCann's single was well hit. And they've hit a couple of balls softly. Ellsbury's little blooper, that little slicing blooper by Headley. Off the trademark. Ball had a lot of right to left action on it, slicing away from Delino in center field.
Well, Mike Maddox out very quickly to say a few words to Giovanni and to Robinson Chirinos. Not much a pitching coach can tell you after you've given up a couple of bloopers on pretty good pitches.
Yeah.
Other than don't give up the home run around him and the hard hit double. Well, here's Didi Gregorius. As hot as Chase Headley has been in this series, Gregorius has upped him a few. Fouls that first pitch back. Gregorius 8 out of 12 in this series. Home run mixed in there. 0 for 7 against Gallardo. Gregorius, the average up to 258, as you noted. A ball and a strike. Gregorius 1 for 3 in last night's ball game. He has been on a pretty good tear. You see on the road trip. This is the second stop for the Yankees. 10 for 19. Little check swing roller foul, and the count moves to 1-2. Gregorius, the unenviable task of trying to take the place, at least in the lineup, of Derek Jeter. That's kind of a no-win situation. Play as well as you want to, and somebody's going to say, well, he's not Jeter, though.
Pretty much, I won't say it's like replacing Mickey Mantle, but it's replacing a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe times 2 in New York, huh?
Yeah, and when you look at some of the numbers Jeter put up as a Yankee, they stack up against all those Hall of Famers they've had there, too. Maybe not the power numbers, but a lot of the other numbers, championships, hits.
Yeah, all-time hit leader, which to me floored me. I never really. Well, Jeter, for most of his career, wasn't really compared to Mantle and DiMaggio and those folks until he got down toward the end. Until the longevity numbers kicked in.
You know, those guys played 154 games. Most of them were power hitters. Most of them walked a lot.
Right.
Jeter was not a power hitter. Led off. Didn't walk a whole lot, and so he obviously had a lot more at bats.
Rosales, a little flip to Andrews, the force, and that will do it. But Yankees get on the board. They score 3 times on 4 hits and lead 2. Half an inning in the books. Yankees leading 3-0. Tom's going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Rangers lineup.
Well, you're watching Delino DeShields walk to home plate. He's the leadoff hitter. Elvis Andrus moves up to the second spot in the lineup. Prince Fielder gets the start at first base. He'll hit third. Adrian Beltre is the cleanup hitter at third. Josh Hamilton will DH tonight and bat fifth. Ryan Rua gets the start in left field. Shin-Soo Choo will hit seventh. He's the right fielder. Adam Rosales will get the start at second base and bat eighth. And batting ninth, the catcher Robinson Chirinos.
And they are facing the 35-year-old left-hander, CC Sabathia. Sabathia dealing ball one to Delino DeShields. DeShields a .273 average. 1-1. Scouting report on CC Sabathia. The stuff, it's diminished a little bit, but he still has a quality sinker and a very good sharp slider. If his command is good, he can give anybody fits. Still, I mean, he still is 90, 91, and instead of the 94, 95 that he was able to hit earlier in his career. But success now depending almost entirely on how well he commands the strike zone. Delino running up as if to bunt and pulled the bat back. It was a strike anyway. 2-2. Delino with that .367 on base average. That has stayed steady or risen a bit in the last couple of weeks.
Yep, with his speed, that .367 will keep him right there in the leadoff spot. And then as he plays a little bit more, gets a little more experienced, who knows, maybe it gets even higher than that.
And reaching base safely in 15 of the last 17 games is Delino DeShields. And you go back over the last dozen games, he's hit to a .313 average. Way outside, the count is full. So Delino trying to start this Ranger uprising in the first inning. He'll be followed by the shortstop, Elvis Andrus. Sabathia making his third start since the All-Star break. To the plate, and the chopper in the hole. Gregorius knocks it down. He was going to have no play anyway. That ball perfectly placed between Headley and Gregorius. And with Delino's speed, that was a base hit the minute it left the bat.
Yeah, it's been a typical at bat for Delino. Leading off the ball game, he sees all of Sabathia's pitches. He ends up having an at bat with 7 pitches, putting the ball in play, making contact, putting the ball on the ground, and getting an infield hit, getting a little rally started hopefully for the Rangers. He's done a superb job of that. The youngster getting a leadoff chance.
Oh, 1 on, nobody out. Delino led the ball game off with a walk last night. Was picked off immediately. We'll see if that plays into it here tonight. Good bunt by Elvis. Nobody is going to get to first in time. He beats it out for an infield single.
That's what you call an excellent bunt. Kind of in no man's land. There's no way Sabathia could beat Elvis to first base. It was far enough away from the line where Teixeira couldn't pick it up and tag him. And Stephen Drew couldn't get to first base faster than Elvis either. Nice bunt. Drew's playing over in double play depth, kind of close to second base, so he had too far to run to get there before Elvis.
Yeah, he had about 75 feet to run. Elvis had 90, but Elvis had a head start on him. Perfect. No, as you saw, the Rangers now 24 bunt base hits this year, the most in baseball. And 2 on, nobody out. Prince Fielder takes ball 1.
Well, the Yankees hit some balls hard. Had a couple of bloopers fall in. Rangers have a bunt and an infield hit. Hopefully that'll work into a rally for them.
Fielder 5 out of 16 with a home run against Sabathia in his career. Got Delino DeShields at second. There's a drive to right center field. DeShields is going to tag Ellsbury with a catch. The throw will come into second as DeShields moves on over to third. A fly out from Prince Fielder. Runners now at the corners with 1 away for Adrian Beltre. Let's take a look at the rest of the Yankee defense. You saw Ellsbury in center field making that play. He is flanked by Brett Gardner over in left, and Carlos Beltran in right. Mark Teixeira at first. Stephen Drew, Didi Gregorius up the middle. Chase Headley in third, and Brian McCann is catching tonight. So runners at first and third. Adrian Beltre, a .255 average. He and CC Sabathia have locked up in competition many times over the last several years. 32 at bats for Beltre against Sabathia, 8 hits. Saw how strong Prince Fielder was. Getting that bat, getting the ball right down toward the end of the bat and still drove it out into right center. 0-1 pitch. Headley up the ladder to make the catch. Good base running by Andrus and the liner to Shields to get back, and Rangers a little bit unlucky there.
Boy, I'll say that was a rope. Smoked that ball at the third baseman. He would be hit it about 2 feet higher, though.
It's starting to be a little bit ridiculous with Beltre hitting the ball as hard as he has the last couple of weeks. How few hits he has to show for him. Another one. In that situation, Headley didn't really have to jump very much, but that ball got to him in a hurry. So 2 outs now, runners still at first and third. Josh Hamilton handling DH chores tonight. Takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Josh at .247, 3 home runs, 10 driven in. Numbers against CC Sabathia, 2 for 20 in Josh's career. One of those a home run. Fastball off the plate inside. A ball and a strike. Last 10 ball games, Josh starting to swing the bat with a little more consistent authority. Had a home run and 4 driven in. Trying to get the Rangers on the board here as he takes low, 2-1 now. Josh, since coming back off the disabled list, is hit just .239. This is 19th start since he was activated back on the 30th of June. Sabathia checks the runners, and Hamilton a drive. High and deep to right field. It is going. Goodbye. Josh Hamilton turns the game around. He turns Sabathia's curveball around and ties it at 3.
It looked like Sabathia was right on the verge of pitching out of a 2-man-on, no-out jam. Got the line shot by Beltre to be caught by the third baseman as lefty versus lefty matchup. Unfortunately, the breaking ball hangs right in the center of the plate, and Josh takes advantage of it.
Hamilton's fourth home run of the year, his third against Sabathia in his career. And we have a brand new ball game. Just over the wedgie out there in right field, right down the right field line.
So, Buzz, if you lose a little bit of velocity on your fastball, let's say it goes from 93 to 95 to 89 to 91. What's the corresponding effect on your slider or your breaking ball? Do you lose anything on that?
Typically lose the sharpness.
You might hang one more often?
Well, yeah, it doesn't quite break as late. A guy with good arm strength, good hand strength, the slider or the curveball will break late. They say now that it has good depth as to where it breaks in relation to the plate. When you lose a little bit of velocity off the fastball, it means you're not popping down through the ball with as much force. So you can't impart as much spin on the ball, and that's what makes it break. So your breaking ball suffers a little bit. Chopper to third, Headley is there. He will throw out Ruoff, and that'll do it. But Josh Hamilton and the Rangers answer the Yankee 3 spot with one of their own. We have finished one as Josh Hamilton got the Rangers back even. On to the second we go, tied at 3. Just use hashtag Southwest Data StrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast right here on our air. It's all brought to you by the good folks at T-Mobile. First ball swinging here in the top of the second inning. Stephen Drew grounds out to Elvis Andrus, who is playing on the second base side of the bag at second. One pitch and one away, and let's head over and check in with Jim Knox, who has a special guest for us.
All right, Buzz, appreciate it. Here he is, the great football guy, Tim Brown. Yes, indeed, you're going to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame just next week. You got to throw out the first pitch tonight. What was that like, Tim?
It was great. It was great. Last time I was here, I bounced it, so I was making sure that didn't happen this time. So I think we threw a pretty good pitch over there, so it was great.
Now, you're getting ready for your big speech, and I talked to you a little while ago, but did they give you a criteria like how many minutes and you can say this or that or anything?
Yeah, well, they want us 8 to 10 minutes is what they're saying, but no one has been shorter than 20 minutes in the history of the Hall of Fame speeches. But I hope not to be longer than 15 minutes for sure, but just want to make sure you thank the people that helped you along this journey.
Now, we do know this, and when you went to Woodrow Wilson High School, then you went on to Notre Dame, won the Heisman Trophy in 1987. But there was a chance you were not going to play football. Your mom did not want to play football. You were in the band, and then you snuck on the football team?
Yeah, well, thanks to Dad, good old Pops, right? Signing the papers behind Mom's back. So I was in the marching band at Woodrow my freshman year, and the sophomore year, I couldn't do both, obviously. So Dad signed the papers and put me on the football field, so it worked out great.
Well, yeah, it did work out great. Dad made the right move, and I appreciate everything you've done. Great guy to look up to, and now best of luck next week. All right, Tim Brown. Buzz?
That's a story right there. I was unaware of that.
That is.
From the band to the Football Hall of Fame. Wow.
Pretty smart move by Dad.
Chances are he would have gone to the band Hall of Fame, too.
Yeah.
That was fun watching him play.
There wasn't much on a football field he couldn't do.
No.
He was something. Well, 2 outs on a couple of ground balls to Elvis. Brett Gardner, a little step in. Gardner sacrifice fly his first time. By the way, a scoring change in the first inning. That ball that Jacoby Ellsbury blooped in down the left field line that got past Ryan Rua has been scored a triple. Will Rudd, the official scorer, looking at the replay. So now that's can't give Rua an error on that. He's not in charge of the sprinklers.
But it's almost the same thing as a ground ball hit slowly down the first baseline. The first baseman's in back of the bag, and the ball hits the bag and bounces over his glove.
Right.
You never see an error called on that.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing for an outfielder. Very rare when you see that happen, but I've never seen it happen down the left field line like that. There's only one little small square, little patch where that sprinkler head is. He has to hit it just perfectly to bounce like that anyway. If it hits on top of it, it just bounces as if it hit the grass. It must just hit the corner of it.
Yeah, he said there's a grass. I think that's artificial grass cover, but anyway, there's a cover that's colored in the same color as the grass. And yeah, you wouldn't notice it if it hit that on a fly, but hit the corner of it and kick straight right.
Yep. Ryan, for a split second, he had no idea what happened to that ball. It's like it must have felt like it disappeared on him. But it's not hit very hard. It's easy right now to predict the bounce. There's going to be no bounce, and all of a sudden, what the heck happened? Bounces right over him.
1-2 to Gardner. That evens the count. Gardner now 47 runs driven in, so he has done a good job of producing runs at the top of the Yankee order for them this year. Chops that one down, and it gets a piece of his front foot. Gardner, as we mentioned last night, splitting time with Jacoby Ellsbury, and when Ellsbury was on the disabled list, Gardner hitting in the leadoff spot. He's done a great job filling in for Ellsbury. Did a lot of damage in the first inning of games. This one popped up behind home plate. It'll be back into the seats. And we'll try it again at 2-2. Yankees keep a statistic for Gardner because it had been so amazing that in the first inning this year, Brett Gardner hit .385. He scored 23 runs in first games in the first inning of games that he was leading off in. Pokes one to left field, coming on Rua. And Ryan not playing very deep and able to make the catch.
That's better.
It's a 1-2-3 inning as Giovanni Gallardo bounces back. We played an inning and a half. The Rangers 3 and the Yankees 3. Ford dealer. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer to kick off the summer right. Ford is the best in Texas. Bottom third of the Ranger order here in the second inning. Shin-Soo Choo, Adam Rosales, and Robinson Chirinos. A 3-3 ball game. Rangers answering the 3 spot the Yankees put up there. Josh Hamilton, a 3-run home run to tie the ball game with 2 outs in the first. Chu, 237, had a 3-hit game last night. It has been very much a roller coaster for Chin-Soo. Remember in Colorado a week ago, he hit for the cycle, and he drives one deep to right field. He's got another one. Goodbye. Home run number 13 for Chu. The Rangers lead it 4-3.
Chu snuck that one into the upper deck, it looked like. Front row. He's going to get on one of those streaks he had earlier in the year. Two lefties in the last 3 batters have taken Sabathia deep to right field. Sabathia came into the game giving up a 189 average to left-hand hitters. But a high fastball and a high hanging slider have been turned into home runs. Not having the same success against lefties tonight that he has throughout the season.
You know, Sabathia now has given up 23 home runs this year. And this is his 20th start. And the home run ball very much a problem for Sabathia. Well, 1-0 the count to Adam Rosales. It's fouled back to even the count. And I think part of that 23 home runs, as you look at Chu make contact on that Sabathia pitch, not a whole lot of wiggle on that bat. But part of the 23 home runs is a product of pitching in Yankee Stadium half the time. It's very hitter friendly. Check swing by Rosales. It's 2 balls and a strike. Adam, 225 is the average. 3 home runs, 7 driven in. And he pops it up. Teixeira backpedaling. And being called off by Drew, who makes the catch. That is out number 1. Next will be the number 9 hitter for the Rangers, Robinson Chirinos. The Rangers, with 2 home runs tonight now, have 104 for the year. First 2 home runs at home on in this homestand. The Rangers have gone 3 straight games without a home run. That bordering on a headline story. They've gone much longer. But that taken care of. Chirinos at 225, 9 home runs, 33 RBI, that 342 average in his last dozen ball games. Changeup from Sabathia, 1 ball and 1 strike. Sabathia into the wind and misses outside and low. 2-1. Richard Sabathia just turned 34 at the beginning, or I should say the beginning of last week. He's out of Northern California. 2-2 now. Sabathia, the 2007 Cy Young winner. It was as a Cleveland Indian. 6-time All-Star. Left-hander deals the 2-2 pitch. Hard hit, Gregorius. How in the world he gloved that so neatly. Pretty good hands out there as he throws out Chirinos. 2 gone.
Well, the Rangers have 4 hits and 4 runs and 2 hard hit shots that were outs. Beltre's to third. That 1-hop smash to Gregorius. Nice play. He stays right down on that one too.
You got to have
off to the left, but still.
You got to have a lot of confidence in your glove work to get your mug right down there at that height.
He's leaning a little bit to get away from it, but man, could have kicked up and gone to the left a little bit and got him right in the chin when he's down that low.
Well, 2 outs. And Delino DeShields, who had the infield single his first time up there and scored the first Ranger run, takes strike 1. Delino now with the average up to 276. Sabathia back to the plate. Go back to just about the time Delino started playing regularly. That was when Leonis Martin got hurt in that first series in May down in Houston. Delino has been a .290 hitter in those 50 games. Of course, there's a stint on the disabled list for Delino, but that's a pretty consistent output from the young man. Sabathia with the 1-2 pitch.
Pretty good eye right there. Ball was about an inch inside. Unless he's really fooled, he doesn't swing it. Pitches out of the strike zone very often.
Joe Girardi, being a former catcher, trying to coax Paul Immel into calling that pitch a strike. 2-2. And that's low.
On another one.
Second straight time now that Delino has worked the count full against Sabathia. Delino trying to get aboard with 2 outs. Elvis Andrus will follow. DeShields waiting, and Sabathia reads the signs. Payoff pitch on the way. Got him swinging. Well, DeShields gone, and the Rangers are out, but Shin-Soo Choo led the inning off with his 13th home run of the year into the upper deck in right field. We'll go to the third. Rangers 4, Yankees 3. Giants coming to Globe Life Park starting tomorrow through Sunday, and great seating inventory still available for you. Just go to TexasRangers.com and pick out your seat. Don't miss the chance to see this rare regular season appearance by the Giants. Giovanni Gallardo going to work here in the top of the third. Alex Rodriguez, Mark Teixeira, and Brian McCann. Rangers have given Gallardo now a run lead with which to work. Rodriguez, a ball and a strike. Alex grounded to short his first time up there. Well, since the 3-run first, Gallardo has retired the last 4 hitters that he has faced. Elvis, a 360, throws and gets him. What a play by Elvis Andrus. That's starting to be a classic Elvis Andrus move. smooth as silk.
Wasn't hit very hard, but he had to cover a lot of ground to catch that ball on the dead run. Gets to it. Now he has to spin around, and then comes the hard part, delivering an accurate throw, which he did on a bounce. Most of the time in Alex's career, that's pretty much hang on to the ball, don't even throw it, base hit. But at this stage of his career, it turns into a 6-3.
Outstanding glove work by Elvis Andrus, and Mark Teixeira, first ball swinging, shoots one to right for a base hit. So Teixeira has seen 2 pitches. One of them left the ballpark. This one a single.
So Elvis make a beautiful play last night on Rodriguez. Last night it was a line drive hit very hard to his left, but he had the quickness to take almost 3 steps before he dove and snared it right in the tip of his glove. And this time he takes a chopper. Looked like it might have been an infield hit. Takes another base hit away from Alex.
So 1 on, 1 out. Brian McCann up. Rangers into an overshift, and Elvis and Adrian Beltre talking about who's going to cover second in case a ball's hit into the hole between first and second. It's kind of a complicated deal. It's not a situation that Adrian's had a lot of experience at, not a situation that anybody's had a lot of experience at. With these shifts, the coverage problems that come up. Looked like Elvis was telling Adrian a slowly hit ball to Rosales, I'll go to the bag and cover that. You don't worry about it. He said something sharply hit, you're going to have to cover second. Adrian telling Elvis, don't worry about it, I'll be there. Whatever I need to do. 2-0 the count to McCann, who singled to right his first time to the plate. Teixeira, not a fast runner at first. McCann getting that cutter / slider. Couldn't make contact. 2-1. Ryan McCann, a .253 average as he faces Gallardo. Giovanni back to the plate. Hit well to right field. The ballpark is not going to hold that one. McCann gives the Yankees the lead. His 16th home run of the year with Teixeira aboard. And the Yankees now lead the Rangers 5-4.
Coming into the game, Buzz, we had talked about Giovanni pitching in this ballpark, how well he pitched. He had 9 starts and a .243 ERA. One of the reasons his ERA was so low here in 9 starts was he kept the ball in the ballpark. He'd only given up 2 home runs in 9 starts. And in this ball game, he's given up a couple of home runs. And only 2 1/3. Fastball down, out over the plate. It looked like it was down and on the outside corner the way he hit it.
Yeah.
But he reached and got it.
You know, a hitter like McCann in this ballpark, and it's a summer like this and it's warmed up. If he can pull a ball, it's going to be trouble. Because he elevates the ball pretty naturally with that swing. And there's a drive hit to right field by Carlos Beltran. Chu is back right at the wall and makes the catch. As that ball came tantalizingly close to home run depth. 2 out. Now before Chase Headley steps in, we're going to send it over to John Radigan, who has a Mazda game break. All right, John, thank you.
The Cespedes will probably be gone before tomorrow, by the sounds of it.
The way it sounds.
White Sox are starting to make a run. White Sox have won 7 straight games to get right around 500. They feel they're a hitter away. They've got a good starting pitching staff. Looking for an offensive player. Cespedes would fit the bill. Tigers are packing it in for this season. A lot of people, you know, and rightfully so, would ask the question, why are the Tigers packing it in? They're only a game and a half behind Toronto. Problem that the Tigers have is they don't have any players left to trade. They can't make a deadline move. They don't have anybody left. And I think they looked at their team and just didn't feel they could be competitive the last 2 months without adding something, so they decided to subtract. And they're going to try to replenish their system with a couple of their veterans, and they're off to a pretty good start.
Now Headley flies out to left field. That'll do it. But Ryan McCann's 2-run home run gets the Yankees back out in front after 2.5, 5-4 New York. The next dollar hot dog night takes place on Wednesday, August 5th. Rangers take on the Houston Astros. Just visit TexasRangers.com for tickets, or you can call 972-RANGERS. That was not one of the dollar hot dogs you just saw. That's now a little bit more than $1 for that, even on dollar hot dog night. Tell you, whatever he paid for that, he's getting his money's worth.
I can't remember. Someone told me how many large giant hot dogs that equates to. Something like 5 or 6 jumbo-sized hot dogs.
It's a bunch.
Fun to watch people eat that thing. I tell you what, that dog doesn't have a chance with those 4 guys. No. They don't have a shot at that. That thing is gone.
That's not their first rodeo with those hot dogs.
They might order another one.
Wow. Well, Elvis Andrus leading off the Ranger third inning. Rangers now find themselves trailing by 1. 5-4 New York. Elvis had a bunt base hit in the first. He takes outside. A ball and a strike. It'll be Andrus, Fielder, and Beltre, first 3 hitters here in the third. CC Sabathia has given up 4 runs on 4 hits to the Rangers. A couple of home runs, a 3-run blast by Hamilton, and a solo shot by Chu. One ball and 2 strikes. Elvis currently hitting at .250. You mentioned the good work that Elvis has been doing, very steadily raising that average .310 over his last 15 ball games. That was just a couple of points now away from his highest average of the year. 1-2 pitch on the way. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Elvis had his 8-game hitting streak snapped last night. He's still been getting on base, scoring runs at a pretty good clip. Scored 6 runs in the last 8 ball games for the Rangers. Base hit to left field. Elvis turning on that Sabathia pitch.
Just have a feeling it's going to be one of those games, Buzz. Guys are swinging the bats. The Rangers have had a couple of line drive outs. Otherwise, they might have done more damage so far. Ball hit right on a sweet spot, driven into left field. Nice swing by Elvis. Got a line drive to left and a bunt. Base hit.
Here's Prince Fielder, who flied to center field back in the first inning. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Prince hitting at .332. He has been in his longest slump of the season. That's not denigrating Prince at all, because he just hasn't had a slump this season. He's just 4 for his last 20 now, which qualifies as his worst stretch this entire year. Hasn't dropped him out of the second spot in the American League in the batting race. He's still tied for second. And he has still hit safely in 26 of his last 30 games. And a lot of folks around that would be more than happy to exchange places with him. 0-2 coming from Sabathia. A ball and 2 strikes. Prince making his 98th start here tonight, and just his 16th at first base. See, even though the hits haven't been coming in bunches as they were, Prince still on base 20 of his last 21 ball games. He just got under that a bit. Right center field. Ellsbury makes the catch. Elvis tagging. He's trying to go to second to throw, and he is out at second. Well, Ellsbury, who is not noted for having a strong arm, was able to set himself and make a very strong, accurate throw, and got Elvis trying to advance into scoring position.
Yeah, having watched Ellsbury and then seen his throw earlier in the game, it looked like a pretty good gamble. But Ellsbury uncorked his best throw accurately to second base, and he got the job done.
Well, Jeff Bannister waiting for word from upstairs. Joey Provinsky, the major video man, taking a look. And he sends down word that no, that's probably not going to go your way if you challenge it. Well, it goes down as a double play.
A couple of things on that one. Fielder, he centers that ball. It goes over the Ranger bullpen. Just barely got underneath it. It looked like it was deep enough. And then Ellsbury uncorked a perfect throw to second to erase Elvis.
The base is empty and 2 away now for Adrian Beltre. And that's one I don't think anybody can be critical of the effort put forth, the thought process of the effort.
No, I thought it was a good gamble too.
Strike to Adrian.
I think if Elvis has the same shot to do it later in the game, he'll try the same thing. Boy, you can see where that ball hit too, right in the center of the sweet spot. Look at Prince's face. He knows he had a pitch to hit and just missed it.
Gregorius charging, sets and throws, and that'll do it. Now, what looked promising turns into a 1-2-3 inning. No runs a hit, and nobody left. We have finished 3 with the Yankees leading the Rangers 5-4.
Chuck Morgan with some big news because we have Ranger Cap Day coming up. What's this about?
Well, first, Jim, want to welcome you back to Texas. Enjoyed your work in California.
We missed you. They can use you in California, trust me.
Well, I belong here.
Yeah.
But great watching you with food work out there. But, hey, we got Cap Day coming up. Ranger Cap Day coming up on Monday, August 3rd against Houston. Wear a Rangers cap to the ballpark. $5 off all tickets in the ballpark, and not just on that Monday, but all Mondays the rest of the season. And if you come out to the ballpark this weekend, 15% off Ranger caps at all retail locations.
Wow. So let me get this right. You wear a Ranger cap on Monday, and you get discounted tickets?
You get $5 off any ticket, and that will also be true for all Mondays the rest of the season.
Well, we're not talking just upper deck. We're talking lower deck and everything.
All tickets. All tickets. Wear your cap.
Wear a cap. Okay, we're going to wear our cap. It's Cap Mondays like, okay?
You got it.
All right. Appreciate it, Chuck. We'll let you get back to work.
Back, Jim.
Thank you. Here we go. Let's listen to your next introduction here, Chuck.
Now batting, second baseman Stephen Drew.
California?
No, they need they can use a guy like you in California. You're not going anywhere. They need to come here and get some pointers, though. All right. Appreciate it, Chuck. Thanks.
You guys are going to work out a representation deal in a few minutes. Now, Didi Gregorius opens up the inning with a base hit to right field. Chuck Morgan, all kinds of novelties in his space out here.
I think Chuck has a little more equipment to work with now than he did way back in the old days at the old ballpark.
What, he used the megaphone, you mean? Yeah, you got a few more buttons to push.
A few more people working for him in there, too.
Yeah. Well, we are in the top of the fourth inning, and joining us, as always, here at home, Mark McLemore. Matt, good to see you tonight.
Hey, good to be here.
Yeah. Looks like one of those games where it's going to be back and forth a little bit.
It does. Hopefully we'll end up on top since we get to hit last.
There you go. Pitch outside to Stephen Drew. 1 ball and 1 strike. A little excitement swirling around the ballpark, and every time there's a trade announced on MLB at bat, there's a little oohing and ahhing going on. The Astros making the latest move, and it's been an exciting 24 hours around these parts.
It has been. I kind of like it when they, make trades back and forth. And
sure.
Guys move around a little bit. It kind of excites things, especially for the teams that are getting players that can possibly help down the stretch run.
And invariably the question comes up: changing leagues. Is it harder to go from the American League to the National, or from the National to the American?
I think from a hitter standpoint, there's not much of a difference. You've got to learn new pitchers. Yes, with interleague play, you get to see guys a little bit, more often than you typically would, but you don't get, a lot. You don't get to see them a lot. You don't get those extended at bats. So I don't think there's a big difference between, for a position player. Now, for a pitcher, I think it's harder for a National League pitcher to come to the American League because he now has to face 9 hitters as opposed to 8. So I think that one thing is probably the biggest difference. It used to be the strike zone with umpires, American League, National League, but now they're all over the place. So that's really the only difference I see.
Tom, put on your GM hat for a second now. Would you take that into account if you were thinking today about making a trade, bringing a guy over from the National League to the Rangers?
I don't think so, Buzz. No? I think you look at the quality of the player and you assume that he's going to excel for you regardless. If a pitcher has a little bit of more of a problem coming over to the American League because there's a DH and he doesn't face the pitcher, it still just puts him in the same boat with all the other pitchers in the American League. So, I think you just trust your scouts to give their evaluation, tell you exactly what you think you're going to get with that pitcher, and then make your decision without looking at that. I think, if you do too much of that, at least in my opinion, you just kind of outthink yourself. You think the guy can help you, he's an upgrade, you like his makeup, think he'll work well, working in with the chemistry in the clubhouse, then go ahead and get him.
Kind of the idea that the guy can pitch.
That's why I would get it. If I wanted a young Steve Busby, I wouldn't care whether he was in the National League, Japan, Korea, you name it. Make sure I'm going to go out and get him.
Make sure you have plenty of health insurance. Our Kubota Power Stats talking about the trades. David Price acquired by the Blue Jays today, the biggest trade of this day anyway. And David Price Well, he turned the Blue Jays into something real special here this season with Detroit. Career best 2.53 ERA, fourth in the league with strikeouts at 138, and going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And the Blue Jays brought him over along with Troy Tulowitzki, and they have made as big a splash. They threw in a cannonball on everybody.
I think they did, Buzz. And when you listen to people talk about that trade, obviously they talk about the talent of both players and how it elevates the Blue Jays because their talent has been elevated, but they also talk about what it does in the clubhouse as far as their chemistry goes, the makeup of the two players they acquired, two first-rate guys on and off the field. So I think the Blue Jays have to be elated right now. Might actually bring some of that excitement back to the ballpark up there like it used to be in the old days when there was 50,000 people there every single night. You must have played up there during that time, man.
I did. I loved it. I mean, the stands were halfway full during batting practice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just fun to be in Toronto.
Now with the runner going, Gregorius sliding into second, thought Elvis was going to take a throw, and Adam Rosales thought about it, but thought better of it. Got the out at first, so Gregorius now in scoring position with one out.
Yeah, smart move by Adam. Gregorius is a pretty fast runner. The ball was behind him. He was going on the play. So Adam didn't have a real good shot at getting him. So he made sure to get the one out, and that's what you need to do in that situation. So you take a look and say, I'll just go on and get the out. But he thought about it.
He did.
No, one gone now. Back to the top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury, who has tripled and grounded to short. Yankees now with 7 hits tonight. Rangers with 5. Ellsbury is going to be 1 for 3 as Rosales throws him out. On to third goes Gregorius, but he's there with 2 outs. And Brett Gardner coming up. So Giovanni went through a streak of 4 hitters where he couldn't get the ball hit on the ground. He gave up a single, a home run, and 2 flyouts. Now has started in this inning to get the ball off the good part of the bat. He's gotten a couple of ground balls the last 2 hitters. That's more like the Giovanni we've seen have success in the last couple of months. A lot of ground balls, better than 50% ground balls in his pitching arsenal.
Buzz, talking about the trade deadline, one thing that's really made the trade deadline more interesting is the added wild card team. When you add the extra wild card team, obviously it increases more teams that are going to be in a pennant race, and then to a certain degree the parity that you seem to see throughout the divisions in baseball. More teams in the running, right around 500, seasons that can go either way, and you have more teams in the market to be buyers, and it really makes it interesting at the deadline. A lot of activity so far, and probably be more before the night's over tonight.
I found it interesting too, Tom, on the same line, that the commissioner was asked a couple weeks ago about extending the deadline, maybe moving it back to the 15th of August. He said he thought that'd be a good idea.
I do
one
too.
That should be studied.
Yeah, I do too.
Think that'd help teams be able to decide more completely.
Yeah, I think it is.
Gregorius coming down the line from third, getting his lead. 0-2 the count to Gardner, and Giovanni misses high and away.
I think it makes you a little more sure of the decision you're making. I'm not so sure it creates more interest in the deadline, because after a couple of more weeks, several teams might be weeded out of the race and not be in the market at the deadline to make any moves. I think with the deadline where it is right now, it probably creates a lot of opportunity for a lot of teams. I guess it could work other ways. Other teams play their way into contention and become buyers at the deadline. Either way, it's an exciting time of the extra wild card.
Gardner down on strikes. Giovanni Gallardo with his first punch out of the night. And the Yankees are gone after a leadoff single. We've finished 3.5. It's the Yankees 5 and the Rangers 4. 15,000 fans will receive a Rangers cowboy hat, courtesy of Coca-Cola and Walmart. Don't miss this chance to take home a good-looking cowboy hat. Visit TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS to get your tickets for next Tuesday. Josh Hamilton leading off the Ranger fourth inning. Rangers down by one. Hamilton, a 3-run home run in the first inning. Josh now with 4 for the year, 13 runs driven in. Average up to 255. Sabathia gets ready to deal. 1 ball and 1 strike. Josh said in the last road trip he was starting to feel more like himself. I think the operative word there is starting to. He's still, and you have to believe that not having any kind of spring training and being delayed of any kind of baseball activity, that takes you a while to catch up.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't matter who you are. Your body and your clock is used to a certain thing. And that certain thing for baseball players is spring training.
Right.
Then when you don't have it, you just try to go out there and start playing. It's not that easy. So you add on the shoulder surgery that he was coming back from as well. No spring training. Came back, had some rehab games, got activated, and then got hurt again. That just throws things kind of out of whack.
And then you've got the emotional aspect of it with what was going on with his team in Anaheim, coming back over to the Rangers. A couple of things in his personal life. A whole lot of things going on with Josh.
Yeah, I don't really care who you are. If you're working out on your own, or even with somebody else, it's tough to get the same effect as if you're working out with a team.
Not even close.
And somebody's pushing you, and you're facing live pitching and all that stuff. Pretty tough to simulate that.
I can remember working out in the winter in New England, obviously inside, and then going to Florida and saying to myself, I might as well not have done one single thing back there. Because I feel like I've never run before, never thrown before. It's just not even close. That's an extreme example. Obviously, he's working out outside in the heat, but still.
Ryan Rua to center and got by Ellsbury. It's going to the wall. Rua turning it on. Can he get 4?
He's going to try.
He is coming around third, being waved home. Here comes the throw. The slide. He's an inside the park home run for Ryan Rua. He ties the ball game.
Man, you don't see many of those. Those are fun.
Oh my goodness.
The best part about an inside the park home run is the anticipation. And as soon as Ellsbury dove, even though it wasn't Delino running, it looked like he had a shot. You ever get one of those, Mac?
Never. I've never got one. Oh, that's incredible. This is where the piano comes out, right? When you're coming around third base.
Luckily, there's a little bit of piano on that throw to home plate, too.
Right about there, Ellsbury said, uh-oh, I'm in trouble now.
And no one there to back him up.
You look around and say, I hope Beltran's over there backing me up. And then when you see where Beltran was, you know it's up to you to go get it. Got a decision to make. Do I die for it or play it on a hop? That one worked out for the Rangers.
I think he might be second-guessing his decision right about now. So, a 5-5 ball game as Ryan Rua gets his 4th home run of the year. And Chu, who homered his last time up.
It can't be a good feeling knowing nobody's back there.
Yeah, the other bad feeling probably came when he lunged for it and realized he wasn't going to be able to reach it. Sometimes you'll see a guy try to slap down on the ball knowing he can't catch it, but to keep it in front of him. But he wasn't able to do that. Didn't really turn it on till he got to first base.
Yep.
Now he smells it right here. He running pretty well.
Not bad.
Question is, how fast can you run from third to home?
with a piano on your
just fast enough.
Chu gets hit by a Sabathia fastball. And he will hit on down to first, that 1-2 pitch. And Tim Sue took it in the rib cage.
Might have been a hanger, Buzz.
Sue's 7th hit by pitch this year. That's second most on the club to Rougned Odor.
Whatever it was, whether it's 84 or 94, it still doesn't feel very good.
No, one on, still just one out. Here's Adam Rosales. Adam popped out to second base his first time. 1 ball, no strikes. Wait for the PR department to tell us when the last inside the park home run was. The one I can remember is Craig Gentry's here 3 or 4 years ago. Double play ground ball. Headley is second, and Drew turns it around the horn. 5-4-3, and that will do it. First inside the park home run since August of 2013. Kinsler at Chicago against Chris Sale. Ryan Rua does it. Ties the ball game as we head to the 5th inning. It's 5. Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. A lot of excitement out here at Globe Live Park tonight. Ryan Rua, first inside the park home run in a couple of years for the Rangers. Ties his ball game at 5, and Giovanni Gallardo back to work. Alex Rodriguez starting things off. And he lines a single to left field.
Well, just keeps going back and forth by the looks of it.
Well, Rodriguez 1 for 3 now. And it brings up Mark Teixeira, who's 2 for 2. 8 hits now against Giovanni Gallardo in the first 4 innings plus 1 hitter here in the 5th. Teixeira had a home run in the first inning, a solo blast to center. Singled and scored in the 3rd inning. He singled ahead of Brian McCann's 2-run home run. In tight, 1 ball, no strikes. Teixeira on a pretty good tear. And some ankle soreness getting him out of last night's ball game. 15 hits in his last 37 times to the plate coming into play tonight. And multiple hits in 6 of his last 10 ball games. So he has really been swinging the bat well. Teixeira's average, as you saw, up at 261 now. The 2-0 pitch. Giovanni 80 pitches with that last one. 50 strikes, 30 balls for Gallardo. Very high. 3 balls and a strike. Our Ford leaderboard. The team leaders in home runs in the American League. Houston leading the Yankees now by 4. Toronto next by 1 in Baltimore and the Angels. And that's inside, ball 4. There are 2 on and nobody out.
Pretty good pitch.
And Mike Maddox headed out to the mound once again. Giovanni's stuff looks good. It looks just like it always does, to be quite honest, but his command is just a little bit off. And Tom, you mentioned a good pitch on that 3-1 to Teixeira, and that seems to have been the way it's happened the last few times out. He's been close but not quite on his command.
Yeah. Oh, we talked about it. 93 and 92 pitches in his last 2 starts, with only 4 innings in each start. A fairly high pitch count in this ball game.
Yeah.
Really would be helped by getting one of those ground balls for the season. He's given up a lot of ground balls. He needs to get a ground ball and double play. Really help his pitch count. Really help keep this game a 5-5 ball game.
Well, McCann has been aboard both times tonight. A single and a 2-run home run. 1 ball, no strikes. McCann came up in the 3rd inning with the Yankees trailing by 1. Teixeira at first base, and McCann left the ballpark. Hit it well into the lower home run porch in right field for his 16th home run of the year. Takes that one for a strike. That evens things up. With runners in scoring position this year, McCann has been a .333 hitter. Pops that one up, and it's going to drift over the Yankees dugout out of play. A ball and 2 strikes. John Edwards from Keller, Texas, getting ready in that Ranger bullpen.
The Rangers don't really have a guy that you would consider a long man. They've got some guys that pitch shorter stints, but maybe could go 2 innings. But no one like Scott Baker, for instance, from last year, would give you 4 or 5 innings.
McCann, another foul ball down the right side. Yeah, and Jeff Bannister was kind of asked about that yesterday when Edwards was called up. He said, well, we have guys that can go multiple innings. He said we may not have one guy that's designated as our long man, but Alex Claudio he brought up, and John Edwards, and maybe Spencer Patton can give you multiple innings if we need for them too. Hard hit ball. Fielder has it, and a good job by Teixeira to get back ahead of what would have been a double play. Now that is a very big out, number 1.
Obviously, with men on first and second, Prince is playing back. Man on first and third, he's holding the runner. And you got a pretty good chance for a double play.
A 1 gone. Carlos Beltran now will come up. Beltran has drawn a walk and fly to deep right field. Carlos, a .253 hitter. Switch hitter up there from the left side. 1 ball, no strikes. Beltran, 8 home runs and 31 driven in this year. A ball and a strike. Full moon over the left field portion of the stadium, of the stands. In the dirt. And a nice stop by Robinson Chirinos. 2-1 now. And Chirinos going to go out and have a little chat with Giovanni Gallardo, and also Elvis Andrus going to join him on top the hill. A 5-5 ball game. The Yankees threatening here in the fifth. They have 2 on and 1 out. Carlos Beltran ahead of the count, 2-1. Giovanni Gallardo now just at the 90 pitch level for the evening. Still a warm night, 97 degrees as we play here in the fifth. Enough of a breeze, I guess, to swirl around the warm air. And that is low. 3 balls and a strike. Now Beltran out in front of the count. He's hitting 6th. Chase Headley, the third baseman, will follow. A big pitch count in the first tonight for Gallardo. And a strike. Beltran was headed to first, and Paul Emmons said, come on back here. We got some more work to do. Beltran, definitely a double play candidate. Doesn't run nearly as well as he used to. Gallardo sets, checking the runners, the payoff pitch. To left field, Rua has it measured. 2 gone.
Nice comeback there by Gallardo. Last time up, Beltran almost went back-to-back with McCann. Hit that ball to the right field wall. So he had to be careful with him, especially falling behind. Got to hit the ball the other way.
So 2 outs. Here's Chase Headley. Headley an RBI single in the first. 1 out of 2 tonight. RBI total up to 42 for the Yankee third baseman. Gallardo with the first pitch. Popped him up. Elvis going out, being called off by Ryan Rua, who makes the catch. And a nice job by Giovanni Gallardo after giving up a walk and a base hit to start the inning. Works out of it unscathed. We're halfway through the game, tied at 5. August 14th, the Tampa Bay Rays will be in town, and they will enjoy a special post-game fireworks show set to Star Wars music. There will also be special appearances by the Star Wars characters out on the concourse. So visit TexasRangers.com and use the coupon code FIREWORKS and get $14 upper reserve tickets for that great night out here at the park. Robinson Chirinos will lead off for the Rangers here in the 5th inning. A 5-5 ball game. And CC Sabathia. Here's his 63rd pitch of the night, and it's outside for ball 1. Chirinos, a ground ball to short, his first time to the plate. Robinson, a .224 average. And he's ahead of the count now. 2 balls and no strikes. Chirinos continuing to hit well in his home ballpark. Over 300 here at home this year. 2 balls and a strike. Last 22 ball games, Robinson has thrown out 8 doubles and 2 home runs. He has driven in 7. He has hit about .305. Sabathia reading the signs from McCann. Chirinos asked for time. Both starting pitchers struggled early in this ball game. They have shown signs of maybe settling down, but it sure looks like the offense for either team ready to bust loose at almost any moment.
They're not going to make it easy for either pitcher tonight, it looks like. The Yankees are being very patient, getting their pitch, and when they get it, they're typically not missing it. And the Rangers doing the same thing.
Giovanni Gallardo's allowed 8 hits. Sabathia's allowed 6. Make that 7 as Chirinos opens up the Ranger 5th with his first hit of the night. One on, nobody out. I know the Shield's coming up, but right now, let's send it over to John Radigan for a Boston game break. Thank you, John. I think you better pay attention to the Toronto Blue Jays. First of all, the wild card standings. The Angels, a 3-game lead on Minnesota. Minnesota, right now, the leader for that second wild card spot. Baltimore, Toronto, Tampa Bay. Good cut by the Shield. That is going to be a base hit all the way.
You know, Elvis laid the same bunt down. And you knew he was going to get a hit, but you wondered if there'd be a throw. That one, there was going to be nothing.
No chance. He couldn't have rolled it down there any better than that. Nobody had a chance to even get it before he got to the base.
Well, that's the great thing about having that kind of speed. The other team can anticipate a bunt, play for a bunt, but if you lay that kind of a bunt down, it doesn't matter.
No chance.
Delano DeShields, the league leader with his 8th bunt base hit.
Yeah, I think he was at first base before McCann even picked the ball up.
Yeah. You say he might have been able to run most of the way to second before McCann got the ball. No, 2 on now, nobody out. And here is Elvis going to bunt. And he drops one foul for strike 1.
Third baseman's in, first baseman's in, second baseman is covering first. No throw.
You know, when I would bunt or a team would bunt against us, whenever that first baseman leaves the bag, the runner's going to be safe. Because especially if you've got a pitcher, a left-handed pitcher in particular, he can't get over there to cover it. The second baseman's not going to get there. So as soon as that first baseman leaves the base, it's over. So my first baseman typically stayed there unless it was bunted really hard right at him. Then they can come and get it. But if they had to leave, I would tell them, hey, either the pitcher's going to get it, or I'll get it, or it's a hit. But if you leave, it's a hit.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think it's pretty tough for the second baseman to play far enough over unless he completely sells out.
Right.
And just doesn't care to get there to cover the bag.
And you can't do that. The only time you can do that is when you know it's a sacrifice situation and the team, the batter's going to bunt it.
And you do occasionally see that kind of a deal.
Right.
First and second, nobody out. late in the ball game. They'll sell it out that way. That's when the guy pulls the bat back and hits a dribbler for a double.
Right.
Elvis caught looking at that pitch. A backdoor hook from CC Sabathia for the strikeout. That's a very big first out.
Yeah, and for a good bunter, that's a forgettable at bat right there.
Yeah, he's looking for something inside so he can bunt it over to third base. But in that situation, especially with 2 strikes, you've kind of got to treat that as a squeeze. You've just got to get the bunt down.
The 1 out with Torino still at second, trailed by DeShields at first. Here's Prince Fielder, who twice has skied to center. That ball driven to pretty deep left center field, but moving over Gardner to his left makes the catch. 2 gone.
Well, you never know what's going to happen if you get the bunt down and it's met on second and third and you're pitching maybe from the windup instead of a stretch. Who knows? You don't necessarily get the same pitch, but you like Prince's chances of getting the ball in the air and driving in a run if you get the bunt down to move the guys over. And generally, Elvis is pretty proficient at that, just not in that at bat. Little things add up to wins, though.
Yep. Yeah, how many times have we seen the Rangers against this Yankee team or against Yankee teams have it come down to 1 or 2 plays the Yankees were able to execute over the years? And they've always, since Joe Torre was there and before that even, they've always had very fundamentally sound teams in New York.
And those are the things that that win and lose ball games. It's the little things, and you may not see them in the box score, but those are the things that win and lose ball games for you. And good managers know it.
Yeah, Tom and I were talking about this last night, Mac. Joe Girardi, you don't hear much about his managerial ability, but he's very quietly, I think, put together a great career as the Yankees manager.
Yeah, I agree. I really think he has. And what Joe really does is he manages that team, the players, the personnel that he has. And he gets those guys ready to go out there and play. And, you know, Alex is having a good power year. And the reason for that is Joe's managed him and said, hey, you're going to DH. I need you to DH so I can get you out on the field. Right. He gives McCann some time off behind the plate. That's a big piece for their, for their ball club. And he knows how to manage his personnel, and that's the key. All the guys on this Yankees roster, they know how to play the game. There's not a situation where he's got to try and teach it, guy this or a guy that. They know how to play the game, how the game is supposed to be played. So his job basically is to manage the game. And in the American League, there are very few things, strategic things that you have to put in place. 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, that's about it. Your matchups, in my mind, they're not that difficult. So it's more of managing your personnel on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and he's had some teams in the last several years that, compared to other Yankee teams, haven't been that solid for health reasons or what have you. And he still managed to get out a pretty good product out there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected the Yankees to be 6.5 games up at any point in the season. And lo and behold, there they are.
2-1 the count to Beltre. Now 3-1. Sabathia not giving in to Adrian. Beltre tonight has lined to third, grounded sharply to short. If Beltre extends this inning, Josh Hamilton is looming in that on-deck circle. A 5-5 ball game. The hits are even at 8. Neither ball club has committed a defensive miscue. 3-1 pitch coming to Beltre. Outside, ball 4. That loads him up. And here comes Josh.
For whatever reason, I think this is the matchup CC actually wanted, as opposed, he didn't look to me like he really wanted to pitch to Beltre.
I agree. Very careful, Adrian. If he lost him, he lost him, and he was okay with that. And Larry Rothschild, the veteran pitching coach, going out there and making sure that both McCann and Sabathia are together on what they want to try and do with Hamilton. Our AT&T U-verse rewind will take you back to inning number 1. A couple on, 2 out, and Josh Hamilton unloading his 4th home run of the year, his 3rd career home run against Sabathia. And at that time, it tied the ball game at 3. And here he is in the bottom of the 5th inning. Bases loaded and 2 out against the same CC Sabathia. Josh with 3 career grand slams. He has Chirinos at third, DeShields at second, Beltre at first, and he hits a one-hopper to Teixeira. That is going to do it. Rangers are gone. They waste an opportunity. A couple of hits. They leave the bases full. 5-5 after 5. Max, thanks for joining us. We'll see you after the ball game on Rangers Live. All right? Will be treated to a Medical Center Arlington Adrian Beltre bobblehead. Join the come on out to see the Rangers take on the Rays that day and get your collectible bobblehead, an Adrian Beltre model. Visit TexasRangers.com or call 972 Rangers for tickets. And don't forget the Giants coming in starting tomorrow night for the weekend. Still plenty of good seats available. Giants making their only visit of the year, one of the few visits during the regular season that we will have had the Giants here at Globe Life Park. Nick Martinez and Madison Bumgarner are the scheduled starters for tomorrow night. Didi Gregorius starting things off for the Yankees here in the 6th inning. A broken bat roller out to Rosales. Gregorius is out, one gone.
Well, it's nice to see Gregorius have a bad at bat and get jammed as many hits as he's had in this series. Nice to get that leadoff hitter too.
Yeah.
Oh, Giovanni, a long first inning, over 30 pitches in the first inning. Gave up 4 hits, gave up a home run, gave up a triple, bloop triple, and 3 runs. Since that time, he's given up the 2-run homer to McCann. Pitched much better, kept his pitch count down. Wondered in the first inning if he'd be able to pitch halfway deep into a ball game, and here's the answer. Got a shot to get through 6 innings, right? A little bit under 100 pitches right now. Looking for a quick inning here in the 6th.
And Stephen Drew taking strike one. Drew has grounded out twice, once to short, once to second. Although their 2 balls were fairly close to each other, with the Rangers in an overshift against him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Elvis playing a good 10 feet over on the first base side of second. Adam Rosales out on the rim of the outfield grass. 1 ball and 1 strike. And Giovanni again just missing low and outside. 2-1. Well, the next pitch for Giovanni will be number 100 this evening. Drew rolls over on 1-0. Prince stays with a tricky hop. Underhands to Gallardo cover. Good reactions by the big man down there. That ball came up. Looked like it got him on the right shoulder. Prince able to recover in time to get the out. 2 gone.
Giovanni, after giving up a hit and a walk to start the fifth, has now retired 5 straight. Cubs keeps it in front of him. Giovanni never gives up covering first, and Rangers have 2 up, 2 down here in the 6th inning.
Good job by Fielder. And with the bases empty now, Jacoby Ellsbury will face Giovanni Gallardo. Ellsbury tripled to start things off, came around to score. Since then has grounded to short, grounded to second. 1 ball and no strikes. Ellsbury missed about a month and a half. Had that sprained knee, sprained right knee. Missed 43 games for the Yankees. Last 6 ball games. You see Ellsbury's been having some problems. Beltre cuts off the grounder, sets, fires, and a very nice 1-2-3 inning on 3 groundouts for Giovanni Gallardo. We're going to go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Remains the Rangers 5 and the Yankees 5. Brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $700 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Teresa Gray from Sumner, Texas will win $700. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Teresa is going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. And Ryan Rua, who tied the ball game with an inside the park home run last time up, promptly it's a hard single to left center field to lead off the 6th inning.
Yeah, Ryan's starting to swing the bat a little bit. In his last 5 games, 4 of them starts. He was 4 for 13. A modest start, but you have to start somewhere to get things going. He's got a couple of hits in the ball game tonight. And the better he swings the bat, the more he's going to play. And he's trying to take advantage of a leadoff hit. They had 2 men on to start the 5th inning and couldn't score.
And Joe Girardi, a very purposeful walk out to the mound and clapping his hands. He says, that's enough, CC. We are going to get you out of here and see if we can't keep a tie ball game for you. So Sabathia will leave in a 5-5 game. The runner Rua at first, his responsibility. Pitching change underway here at Globe Life Park. We are back after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest. You can understand, as well as the Yankee bullpen as a core, as a group, has pitched this year. How about no earned runs and an 0.85 opponent's batting average in the last 2 games, 18 2/3 innings. The guys coming out of the Yankee pen. And they have turned to the 27-year-old left-hander Justin Wilson to come on here. Wilson came over from the Pittsburgh Pirates in the trade that sent Francisco Cervelli over to Pittsburgh this past offseason. Shin-Soo Choo up there to face Wilson. He fouls off that first pitch.
If you've got Brian McCann basically to be your catcher, and you can turn your backup catcher into a very solid setup man, that's a pretty good move. Saw him earlier in the series, mid-90s fastball, aggressive left-hander. Nice guy to have there for your middle inning setup guy.
0-1 the count to Choo. Now a ball and a strike. Shin-Soo had the solo home run. He had the home run leading off the second inning for the Rangers tonight, his 13th home run of the year. Last time up, he was hit by a breaking ball from CC Sabathia. 1 for 1 officially, hitting at .239 now. As Choo getting that average motoring on up the right way. That's out of play to the left side. And the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes. Choo now with RBI in 7 of his last 8 ball games and 8 of his last 10. Even though the batting average isn't where he expects it to be. Still 48 RBI and missing some time, showing you that he can be a productive hitter, which he has been. 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging.
Oh, that's a good breaking ball. 83-mile-an-hour hard breaking ball down and away. Right now, mid-90s fastball, and you got a tough left-hander. Big curveball.
Well, 1 gone. Yeah, Adam Rosales will be next. Wilson came out of Fresno State University. Pitched for Fresno State in the 2008 College World Series. Rosales waiting for that first pitch that he takes in at the knees. Adam has popped out and grounded into a double play. Wilson this year for the Yankees, maybe not the eye-popping totals that I say Dylan Betances or Andrew Miller have put up, but still a strikeout per inning coming into the ball game in the 6th, 7th innings. It's pretty impressive for the young man. He struck out 35 in 36 innings. To short, Gregorius to second. The return in time. Well, Wilson comes in, gets a strikeout, a double play, and just like that. But looked promising for the Rangers for a 6th. It goes for naught. Nobody left. On to the 7th. Still deadlocked at 5. until Josh Hamilton answered in the bottom of the first inning. His 4th home run of the year tied the game. Shin-Soo Choo in the 2nd led it off with the Rangers on top 4-3. And the Rangers were now trailing by 1 when Ryan Rua in the 4th inning got an inside the park home run, a drive that went by Jacoby Ellsbury, and Ryan Rua sprinting around the bases to the cheers of his teammates and the fans out here at Globe Life Park. We are tied at 5 as Keone Kela comes in to pitch the 7th inning for the Rangers. Kela, the league leader, 48 appearances, and this is 49 now coming here tonight. 5-5 record, 3.16 ERA for Kela. He is working to Brett Gardner to start things off. Gardner this evening has had a sacrifice fly. It's also flied out and struck out 0 for 2 officially. Takes Kela's 97-mile-an-hour fastball inside. The count moves to 1-1. Keone worked last night. Worked an inning, had a strikeout. Very uneventful inning of work for Keone in that 5-2 Ranger win. It's that on the inside corner. It like the power changeup for him, or maybe the breaking ball that just stayed up a bit. Kela 44 strikeouts in 42 2/3 innings. Tapper down to first and just dribbling off into foul territory. Gardner back to the plate. We'll try it again in a ball and 2 strikes. And here goes Rangers captain again.
Here we go.
Look out.
Didn't get anybody with that one.
He's going to get that to somebody that has arachnophobia one of these nights. They're going to have to call 9. Yeah, that's pretty close. You're going to have to call 911.
At least get a guy that's 24, 25 years old. Don't get the poor little kids.
Yeah. 2-2. Was it Glenn Allen Hill that had when he was with Toronto?
Yeah, he got injured one night.
Yeah, arachnophobia. Only time the guy went on the DL with arachnophobia. And a swinging strike 3.
Good fastball.
Brett Gardner not able to catch up with that Keone Kela 97-mile-an-hour.
He saw enough off-speed pitches in that at bat, whether they were a changeup, whether they were a breaking ball. And now you see that 97-mile-an-hour fastball. It's a different proposition. Located it down and in. Gardner couldn't quite catch up with it. It looked like he ticked it.
Yeah.
And Robinson was able to keep it in his glove. Get that lead off of it. Gardner sets things up for the middle of the lineup. Right up there and among the leaders in Major League Baseball in runs scored. So we want to keep him off the bases. Rangers done a pretty good job of that tonight.
Alex Rodriguez singled his last time up. That after grounding out a couple of times. 1 for 3 tonight for Rodriguez, a .279 average. He was swinging fastball and he didn't get it. 1-1. Keone has shown the inclination to use that breaking ball, especially to the middle of the order hitters on the first couple of pitches, and he has gotten some pretty bad looking swings as a result. And when he comes back with that high octane fastball of his. 1-2 to Rodriguez. A 5-5 ball game. Yankees with 8 hits, the Rangers with 9 hits tonight. Kela to the plate, got him swinging.
2 foul tips. Robinson's able to catch him. One was a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Those are a little bit easier to catch. This looked like a breaking ball. Alex just got a piece of it. Let's see how Robinson caught this. Oh, just before it got in the dirt. Beautiful play.
Yes, it was.
Pitch before it was the 97-mile-an-hour fastball. That's an 87-mile-an-hour hard breaking ball. Alex ticked it, but Robinson's come up with 2 foul tips for 2 strikeouts.
You have to have soft hands to be able to do that.
Sure do.
Yeah. Here's Teixeira. 2 for 2 tonight as Tex. A walk, a single, and a home run. And the pitch outside to him. 2 balls, no strikes. Teixeira hitting at 261. He has regained the Yankee lead with 25 home runs, 1 more than Alex Rodriguez. 66 RBI tops the Yankee club. Hit well to center field. Delino to Shields is stopping, and that one is up on Greens Hill. Teixeira with his 2nd home run of the night, and the Yankees lead at 6-5. Mark Teixeira turning around a low fastball, coming in at 97, going out at maybe 107.
Well, Texas having a big year. He's had 3 hits tonight. He scored 3 runs. He's knocked in several. In the season, 26 home runs, zeroing in on 70 RBIs. Fastball down, a little bit out over the plate. Got the good part of the bat on it. Again, what a year he's having. Hasn't been healthy. Two years ago, he only had less than 100 at bats. Last year, he hit 216. This year, an entirely different story. Force in the middle of the lineup.
So 2nd home run for Teixeira tonight. The 3rd Yankee home run. The man that has the other home run is at the plate right now. Not much Delino can do. That ball is well up on Greens Hill. And it got rejected out there pretty quickly, too, and thrown back in to second base. Matter of fact, the throw from center would have had Teixeira at second had someone been covering.
Well, our boy in center field has made a lot of plays out there, I'll tell you that. One of the more aggressive outfielders in the league. He sits there every night, sees that ball go up in the air, beats everybody to the ball. And if the opponents hit it, he's throwing it back.
He uses that slope to his advantage, too. He gets pretty good downward plane on that thing. Now, 2 balls and 2 strikes to McCann. McCann, other than the 2-run home run in the 3rd, has singled and scored. He's also lined to first. Della back to the plate. Got him swinging. Good breaking ball. The out will be recorded at first, and that'll do it. Keone ends up striking out the side, but Mark Teixeira unloads his 2nd home run of the night. A solo blast, and as we go to the bottom of the 7th, Yankees lead it by 1. for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCasts, and a lot more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Well, the Rangers come to bat now in the bottom of the 7th inning, trailing once again. It's 6-5 in favor of the Yankees. Robinson Chirinos to start things off against Justin Wilson. Wilson entered the ball game in the 6th and quickly got a strikeout and a double play grounder to work out of any damage. Chirinos 1 for 2, a single in the 5th inning. The batting average for Robinson now at .227. One ball and one strike. Chirinos wagging that bat back and forth as Wilson studies the signs. He and Brian McCann not quite together on what they want to do. Now the left-hander's ready. 2 balls and a strike. Chirinos, the Rangers' full-time catcher this year. He turned 31 back in June. Venezuelan native, making himself right at home behind home plate. And he's ahead of the count, 3-1, trying to get aboard to start this Rangers 7th inning. Waiting in the on-deck circle is Delino DeShields.
Well, good spot. Work a walk, get a good pitch to hit, drive it out of the ballpark, and tie the game.
Well, Robinson very capable of that. He has 9 home runs this year. And a good fastball hitter. Takes a strike on the outer edge. Full count.
Not a great 3-1 pitch, so go ahead and take it. Might have to swing at it 3-2 though to protect the plate. Might get a better one. Ooh, got a better one.
Yeah, he did.
Right in the center square.
We'll try it one more time. Pitch number 7 of the at-bat coming up. To kind of keep reminding ourselves, this for Robinson Chirinos just his 4th year since being converted from an infielder to catching full-time. Boy, the strides he has made, just incredible. And he takes one inside for ball 4. And the Rangers have the tying run aboard to start off the 7th inning. Before Delino DeShields steps in, let's send it over to John Radigan for a Mazda game break. All right, John, thank you. Well, Delino DeShields, in a similar situation last time, but pushed a bunt down the first baseline and able to beat it out, put 2 runners aboard, and the Rangers missed that opportunity. Their first 2 men aboard in the 5th inning, so Delino maybe thinking about the same kind of...
Yeah, if he can lay the same bunt down, it'll be the same result.
Yep. Wilson to the plate. He's going to bunt and pops it up. And it drops in foul territory untouched.
Looks like we were thinking right along with him.
Yeah. Quite honestly, that's probably the best thing that could happen to that bunt.
Yeah, if it's fair, it's definitely an out. And second baseman playing in double play depth, you can't cheat over too much. You won't be able to turn a double play. Of course, I guess you could make a case, go ahead and cheat over. You're not going to turn a double play against him anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody kind of relaxes now, goes back to a normal alignment with an 0-2 count. DeShields with that bunt hit and also an infield hit in the 1st inning, so 2 for 3 tonight. That ball gets by McCann. Down to second goes Chirinos. Well, instead of having the sacrifice, it took a wild pitch, and that's fine. Rangers will take that.
That's a nice turn of events. Free base. and never really got the glove down between his legs with the palm of his glove up to block that. He tried to smother it, tried to pick it, let the ball get right through him. Probably be a wild pitch, but I'm sure McCann would say that's a blockable ball.
Yeah, I agree with you. Dylan Betances, hard-throwing right-hander, loosening out in the left field bullpen. I think you want to tie this game up or get ahead before you see that guy.
Yep. Yeah, you don't want to see them ahead with Betances and Miller out there.
1 ball, 2 strikes to the Shields. Delino fouling off a tough pitch from Wilson. Delino's just a tough guy, I think, for most pitchers to work to.
Sees a lot of pitches. Boy.
Yeah.
He works the count.
Hard to get him to go outside the strike zone to swing at anything, and it seems to have the ability to foul off tough pitches you make in the strike zone.
Yeah. You know, Max said it the other night. He's not afraid to take pitches and get behind in the count, which allows him to take pitches like that.
2 balls, 2 strikes now.
I think guys can work on having a better eye and being more patient. But the guys that really work the count, really get their bases on balls, I think that's just an ability you either have or you don't. I don't think you can take a free swinger and turn him into a patient hitter who walks 75 or 80 times.
Another foul ball. What about recognition of the strike zone?
I think he's got it.
Can you work on that too?
I think he's got it. Yeah, you can work on that. I think one thing that helps him is he's probably got a fairly light bat and he chokes up on it, which allows him to wait a little longer and still be quick enough. Maybe to pick up the ball and still be able to have a quick enough swing to get the head of the bat to the ball.
He's swinging there. A little extra on that, 96 miles an hour, and the liner to Shields couldn't catch up with it. That's out number 1, and brings out Joe Girardi. And Girardi is going to the bullpen right now. He's going to bring in Betances. Go with Elvis Andrus, a right-handed hitter, coming up, and Adrian Beltre, 2 hitters later. They're going to bring Betances in with 1 on and 1 out here in the 7th. Rangers trailing 6-5. We'll take a timeout. We're back right after this. Right? And Rangers captain. They'll be at the Whataburger on East Northwest Highway in Dallas on Wednesday, August the 5th. Don't miss this chance to win great prizes and meet one of your favorite Rangers along with Rangers captain. Dylan Betances, the 6'8" right-hander out of New York City. 27-year-old on now, and he has been virtually unhittable this year and last. The numbers there, 84 strikeouts, that leads American League relievers, averaging better than 14 strikeouts per 9 innings. Opposition hitting a lofty 118 against him. That's not very much. ERA of 1.35, that's not very much either. Elvis steps in, 2 for 3 tonight, a pair of singles. He has the tying run at second base. Robinson Chirinos out there. Betances ready to work. The breaking ball hangs inside for ball 1.
We saw Betances the other night in that combination of mid to upper 90-mile-an-hour fastball and that hard curveball. It's pretty easy to see why he gives up as little as he gives up. All you have to do is watch both those pitches, see 2 of them, and you go, okay, let's see what it is. The combination is pretty tough to hit.
And Elvis gets one up, and he drives it to left. And being held to third is Chirinos.
Not that tough.
Nope, not
Elvis
on that
got
one.
a hold of one.
Elvis swinging the bat well. And the Rangers have runners at the corners and 1 out for Prince Fielder.
Well, Elvis came into the game hitting over 300 in his last 15 ball games. You see him with a little leg kick there. Gets the foot down. Gets a pitch he can handle. Not sure if that was a hanging breaking ball, what it was, but it was right up in his eyes, and he hit it into left field for a base hit.
So, Rangers at the corners. And here's their big RBI man in Prince Fielder. Fielder tonight 0 for 3. He has flied to center twice, flied to left once. And McCann going to go through the defensive assignments for everyone with runners at the corners. The tying run at third, in the person of Robinson Chirinos. Fielder now at 331 with the average. That hard breaking ball that Prince able to recognize early and leaned on it for ball 1. Fielder still third in the American League with runners in scoring position. A 372 average. 61% of the time above average the number of times he's gotten the runner home from third with less than 2 out. He's got his hands full here with Dylan Betances.
This is where it is very handy to have a strikeout pitcher. Man on third base, less than 2 outs, 1-run ball game. That's exactly what Betances is going for right here.
There goes Elvis. The pitch is fouled away. Elvis could have walked into second base with that jump. Betances paying no attention to him whatsoever.
Betances is going to work on the hitter, throwing him 3 straight off-speed pitches. That's a tough situation for a hitter. You know he's got a great off-speed pitch. You've seen it several times. But you know in the back of your mind he's also got that 97-mile-an-hour fastball that you've got to be ready for too. You're probably feeling pretty good about what you've seen with the breaking ball, but the unknown of that fastball is still in the back of your mind.
Betances back to the plate. Ground ball right side. The throw to second gets away. In to score Chirinos. Elvis trying to get up and move, but he can't. He had Gregorius laying all over him. Gregorius went up in the air trying to make the catch and came down on top of Elvis. And Gregorius is hurt.
That was an extremely ill-advised throw to second base. You've got a good runner at first, a slowly hit ball to your left, and on that particular play, Drew tries to make a spectacular play with very little margin for error, and he's unable to do it.
Well, everybody's safe. The run is in. Prince gets the RBI.
That's some contact right there.
Yeah. I don't think that one needs an explanation.
No, it doesn't. Not surprised he lay on the ground, and surprised he's trying to catch his breath. But boy, for a veteran guy, and Stephen Drew's a nice veteran player, that's not a smart play.
No.
He had no chance to get Elvis on that play. He knows better than that. But the Rangers will take it.
Certainly will, and they've tied the ball game. And now they have the go-ahead run out at second in the person of Elvis Andrus. Prince Fielder aboard at first, and Adrian Beltre at the plate.
The key to that play, though, is you've got a strikeout pitcher on the mound. You have to make some contact, and Prince made some contact. No matter what happened on that play, it wasn't going to be a double play, and Prince got the run in by making contact. Little things.
Elvis going to third. The throw is late.
Whoa.
Oh, what a great play by Chase Headley.
I'll say.
He just saved a run there. He saved the Rangers, or he saved the Yankees from the Rangers going ahead by one.
Yeah, he came very close to throwing that ball into left field. Watch the play that Headley makes. Big jump for Elvis. No play at third base. And Headley, a run saver.
So now the Rangers have the go-ahead run at third with one out. Beltre at the plate, 1 ball, no strikes. Elvis with the stolen base. Yankees will play the middle of the infield back. Now Headley's going to play back also. And that breaking ball low and outside, 2-0.
That's pretty much a shot in the dark right there. Obviously, a big league player has a much better chance of catching that ball than amateur players, but still, even for a big league player, it's not easy to catch a short hop like that while you're trying to cover third base as well.
Beltre coming out of his shoes, trying to go after that 98-mile-an-hour fastball. 2-1.
Leadoff walk to Robinson Chirinos. Definitely plays a role in this inning, a huge role.
Rangers have tied it. They're looking to take the lead with Beltre at the plate. 2-2 now.
97, 98. High heat.
Adrian 65% of the time able to get that runner home from third with less than 2 outs.
Well, the one thing that happens now in a tie game is hopefully it stays tied or the Rangers take a lead. Betances will have pitched, and as long as it's tied or the Rangers have a lead, then you don't have to worry about seeing their closer, Andrew Miller. Keep him out of the ball game.
That's a good plan if you can do that. Joe Girardi trying to figure out a way to get this ball game untied in his favor. The Rangers standing in his way. 3-2, payoff pitch. Little looper out to short. And Gregorius has it. I think he thought about maybe dropping the ball for a second, and then decided Beltre is too far down the line to first. Well, that is out number 2, and it brings up Josh Hamilton.
Yeah, big out for Betances. Got the out without being able to get the run in from third base with less than 2 outs. Power heat. See the spin on it, a little bit of left to right action, tailing action on that fastball, brought it into the bad part of the bat and made it impossible for Adrian to hit the ball any farther than he did.
Well, Hamilton up there 1 for 3. Takes high, ball 1. Josh, a 3-run home run in the first. Struck out in the 4th, grounded out with the bases loaded in the 5th inning. Go-ahead run 90 feet away with 2 outs. Elvis at third. Prince Fielder, the runner, over at first. Very high. 2 balls, no strikes. Gregorius telling Betances, hang on a second here. Now calm down and let us know what we're going to do. Mark Teixeira telling Betances he will not hold Prince Fielder at first base. Play back behind him to cut down that hole on the right side. 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, you see 2 mid-90s fastballs up and not much chance to hit the off-speed pitch.
And Josh got that off-speed pitch from Sabathia in the first that stayed up for him.
Josh was geared up to hit the heat right there.
Fastball outside. 3-1.
Well, 2-0 after 2 fastballs. He threw him the breaking ball. 3-1 after a fastball. See if he comes back with a breaking ball. See if he comes in with a heat. I know what Josh is looking for. It's not a breaking ball.
Yep. Betances studying the signs. The right-hander sets. The 3-1 pitch. 3-2. So with 2 outs now, Prince Fielder will be moving with this next offering. Hamilton hitting 5th in the order. Ryan Rua, the left fielder, in the on-deck circle. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Betances to the plate.
He took it. Oh, wow.
Ball, I don't know how in the world he did that.
I don't either. That's a strikeout pitch, and Josh took it.
A very good take.
That was an excellent take.
3-2.
Watched it all the way. Wow. I think Betances was a little bit surprised he didn't get Josh to swing at, especially after the 2-0 pitch that he did swing at.
Larry Rothschild out to the mound, and Rangers have made a substitution. Leonis Martin has come into the ball game to take Prince Fielder's spot out at second base. So Martin as a pinch runner here in the 7th. And the Rangers will no longer have their top RBI man in the order. Martin on as a pinch runner. Bases full of Rangers, and Mitch Moreland has grabbed the bat and come out to hit for Ryan Rua. Moreland hitting at .285, 16 home runs, 51 RBI. Breaking ball is low, ball 1.
Mitch is going to go in probably late in the game, play first base, play defense. Martin is going to come in to play some defense. Gets them both in the ball game a little bit earlier, just going in for defense.
Moreland, this year as a pinch hitter, is 4 for 5. With 3 RBI, he has 1 double. Betances pours in strike 1 at 99 miles an hour.
Well, the good thing is Betances has thrown 20 pitches, so regardless of what happens here, he's probably not coming back out for another inning.
Might as well give him a good send-off.
Yeah, exactly. If the Rangers can hold the Yankees in the 8th, you won't see the closer either.
Mitch trying to tune it up, and that's got to be tough coming off the bench and seeing 99.
It is. That's power versus power. You know what you're going to get, but opponents hit about 100 against him, so everybody knows what you're going to get. Doesn't mean you're going to have much success. And it's 98 instead of 88. Be right down the middle, and you still can't hit it.
1-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Betances strikes out the pinch hitter Moreland, and the Rangers leave the bases loaded, but they score the tying run. 1 run on 1 hit and 3 left. On to the 8th, tied at 6.
We got to give it to Sky. She comes all the way in from England, rooting the Rangers on all night long. How did you become a Ranger fan from England, Sky?
Well, my mum's American, and we go home, watch TV, and we watch the Rangers games. I absolutely love them.
All right. Well, good to have you out here. Here's the bag. Congratulations. Anything else you'd like to say?
I love Texas, especially the Texas Rangers. Hi, Dee Dee and Papa. Cheerio to everybody in England.
There we go. All right. Good day, mate. Thank you very much.
That's great.
Very good. Worldwide draw.
That is great.
Well, we go to the 8th inning now. Sam Freeman has come out of the Ranger bullpen to take over in a 6-6 ball game. Sam facing Carlos Beltran, the switch hitter, who turns around and back from the right side, deals strike one. Beltran tonight 0 for 2 with a walk. A couple of fly balls. Pops one foul and out of play. Rangers making some defensive changes. Delano DeShields moving from center over to left. Leonis Martin stays in the ballgame, plays center field. And Mitch Moreland likewise staying in the ballgame. He is at first base. And a base hit by Moreland into right field for Beltran. Just poking that ball, and Moreland playing off the line, and that perfectly placed for a leadoff single.
Yeah, Beltran just trying to put the ball in play somewhere and take his chances. Kind of slapped it into right field. Got the job done, though.
So now 10 hits for each team. Beltran with his first of the night. And Mitch trying to cut that hole down a little bit by his positioning. Couldn't get over there quite far enough. Chase Headley, also a switch hitter. A bat from the right side against Freeman. Headley had an RBI single back in the first, driving in his 42nd run of the year. He is 1 for 3 tonight. Mentioned Headley having a great month of July for the Yankees. Takes high for ball one. Headley at the start of play tonight hitting .370 for the month. A home run, 13 RBI, 5th highest average in the American League. Sam Freeman a check of first. Deals an off-speed pitch outside. It is 2-0. Sam worked in each of the first 2 games of this series, worked an inning in each game. Was not scored upon. He did allow 2 walks last time out. And he fires a strike here to make it 2-1. Ranger outfield playing Headley a step or so around to the left. The infield just about straight away at all positions. And that is a strike.
Well, Sam's come a long way since spring training, Buzz. Working all his pitches now. And he's worked his way into the rotation out in the bullpen in very tight ball games. Here he is in a tie ball game, 8th inning. He's trying to make the club early. Since the Rangers acquired him from the Cardinals.
Headley staying alive, fouling back that pitch. And Sam now with Alex Claudio out in the bullpen. Jeff Bannister will use Sam Freeman in a varied role. He doesn't have to keep Sam for the lone left-handed matchup late in the ball game. He's pretty much free to wheel and deal with him wherever he feels like he can get some outs for him. A little more versatile Ranger bullpen.
Yeah. Sam's put up some good numbers. Opponents are hitting right around .215 against him. A few too many walks, but a strikeout per inning. Getting better and better with all appearances.
The 2-2. Double play grounder. Elvis takes it to the bag himself. On the move. High throw, but Mitch going up the ladder pulls it down. A 6-3 double play, and so much for the leadoff single.
Yeah, one thing Sam's doing a little bit more now, instead of being locked into a fastball and having to throw it 95 miles an hour every time, he's got some pitches he can change speeds with, whether it's his breaking ball or changeup. That one got the ground ball. Elvis takes it himself, fires it sidearm, and fortunately Mitch is just tall enough and comes down just quick enough to get the out at first base. So erase that leadoff single.
Kind of sailed on Elvis a little bit.
Looked like it.
One of those upshooters. Didi Gregorius takes outside, a breaking ball from Freeman. Gregorius a base hit in 3 trips tonight. He has calmed down just a little bit after his torrid start in this series. 2 for 3 against Sam Freeman. 2 balls, no strikes. Chirinos flashing the signs out. Freeman back to the plate. And misses in tight. 3-0. If Gregorius is able to get aboard, Stephen Drew, the number 9 man, to follow. Outside all the way to the backstop, ball 4. Well, the walk puts Gregorius aboard, and now Drew will come to the plate.
Got the double play, so you got a little bit of room for that walk, but let's get this hitter right here. A lefty versus a lefty. Let's get him.
Tanner Shepard's out in that Ranger bullpen. Rangers go into an overshift with Drew up there. Elvis a couple of steps on the first base side of second base. And Sam misses low with ball 1.
Yeah, the 2 switch hitters, Beltran and Headley, hitting right-handed, ended up with nobody on and 2 outs. Now we've got the 2 lefties at the bottom of the order, having a hard time throwing a strike to him.
Drew 3 ground ball outs tonight. And he takes way outside. 2 balls, no strikes, and Chirinos going to head out to the mound.
We've got 4 left-hand hitters in a row. We've got Gregorius and Drew, and then Ellsbury and Gardner at the top of the order. That should be Sam's strength. That's what they're telling him.
Yep.
Let it go. Use your natural ability.
Don't think, throw.
Don't think you're hurting the ball club.
That's right. All set to go now. Robinson back down behind the plate. Flash the signs out. So give me that fastball right over there. The 2-0 pitch. Fouled out of play. So Stephen Drew figuring, well, I'm going to get a fastball down the middle, and he got a fastball. I'm not sure it was right down the middle. Jammed him a little bit. 2-1 with 2 outs. So once that fastball away again. And this one fouled out of play, well down the left field side. Well, Freeman comes back from being behind 2-0 to even the count up. Trying to get Drew to finish off this 8th inning. Get the Rangers back into the dugout, let him do some damage offensively. The 2-2 pitch on the way. A little looper in the center. That's in for a base hit. Gregorius stops at second. And Drew able to muscle a pitch that was in on him out to center field for a 2-out base hit. 2 on with 2 out. And we're going back to the top of the order for Jacoby Ellsbury. And Mike Maddox headed out to the mound. And while we have a moment, Mike going out there, we're going to show you the strongest fan photo selection of the day. And this evening's selection comes to us from Brian. Brian with the great Ranger team photo. Great looking dog there, too. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate that. If you all would like to have a chance for your photo to be displayed on our air, just use hashtag Southwest Data StrongFan. And your photo might be selected, like Brian's was, to be on one of our broadcasts. As always, the good folks at T-Mobile are the thanks for making this all possible.
Sam's actually given up a batting average to left-hand hitters of 279. Right-hand hitters, it's only 140. Lefties have had more success against them than righties.
Yep.
For whatever reason.
Ellsbury takes that first breaking ball right up under his chin. Well, part of it, Tommy, I think is what we've seen tonight with Sam getting behind the left-handed hitters. And, not able to pitch from ahead. And, if a left-hander is able to do that to most left-handed hitters, you're going to have success. I think Sam's had trouble command-wise to left-handers. A little looper in foul territory. Beltre charging over, but he runs out of room. Ball 5 rows back. Well, 1 ball and 1 strike. Jacoby Ellsbury, a triple in 4 trips tonight. Led off the ball game with a bad hop triple. With runners in scoring position, the Yankees a 258 team average. They're just 1 for 7 tonight. Freeman to the plate. It's high. 2-1.
A hard time locating that breaking ball where he wants to. Not sure he's got the same feeling tonight that he's had in many of his outings. Fastball velocity is down a little bit tonight. 89 to 92. We've seen him mid-90s most of the time.
Yeah.
And I know you've said, Buzz, if your velocity's down, maybe the spin and the sharpness of your breaking ball is not there either.
I think that generally is true, and it looks like that's what Sam's dealing with tonight. That's one of the problems that relievers have, I think. Their stuff comes and goes just like everybody else's. They have to make an adjustment a lot faster than a starter does.
Yeah, without much margin for error, usually.
Exactly.
Especially in this case. But it's a good learning experience for the young lefty. Trying to pitch through the Yankee lineup here in a tie game in the 8th inning. Try to battle through it. Might not have his best stuff tonight. Still trying to get the job done.
3 balls, 1 strike to Ellsbury. Gregorius at second, Drew at first. I can say I'm backing off the pitching rubber. Wants Robinson to recycle the signs. Now Sam picks one out that he likes. 3-1 pitch to Ellsbury. Inside and hitting. A hit by pitch loads the bases and brings up Brett Gardner. Second hit batter tonight in the ball game. And Sam Freeman now with no room for Brett Gardner. Gardner has struck out each of the last 2 times that he's come to the plate. Also flied out twice, once a sacrifice fly. So 0 for 3 tonight. Bases full of Yankees. Gardner in his career, a .348 hitter in these situations. Getting ahead, imperative for Sam Freeman. He does just that with a good fastball.
Yeah, you like to see that too. That's the best velocity he's had on a fastball. Loaded the bases and comes back with a good 93-mile-an-hour strike.
Sam getting ready to throw his 25th pitch of this inning.
There you go.
It's strike 2.
94 miles an hour. Reaching back for a little extra. Love to see that.
Well, many in the crowd now standing, getting behind Sam Freeman and the Rangers. No balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs. Got him!
Wow. I don't know what Mike told him, but he must have said, let's see the heat.
Went 95 and up, and Gardner could not climb that high. 2 hits, 3 left. Bottom of the 8th coming up, tied at 6.
All knotted up at 6 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. This concludes a 4-game series between these two teams. A 10-game homestand rolls on tomorrow when the San Francisco Giants come to town for a 3-game set. Madison Bumgarner, the 2014 World Series MVP, will take the hill for the Giants. Prince Fielder looks to continue his hot-hitting ways as they open the 3-game series tomorrow at 7 o'clock here on Fox Sports Southwest. Fellas, thanks to the folks at AT&T Uverse for all the good stuff.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Dylan Betances has come out to work here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Shin-Soo Choo, first hitter he faces, the 0-1 pitch to him. And that is fouled back. 0-2. Choo 1 out of 2 officially tonight. Had a home run leading off the 2nd inning. Hit by a pitch in the 4th. Struck out in the 6th. 6 runs on 11 hits for the Yankees. 6 runs on 10 hits for the Rangers. And a breaking ball called strike 3. And here is that home run that he hit off of C.C. Sabathia. The first throw of the upper tank. And with 1 out, Rougned Odor coming off the Ranger bench. He is going to pinch hit for Adam Rosales. That leaves just 1 extra man on the bench now. Tomas Teles, the backup catcher. Odor takes the first pitch outside for ball 1. Rougned 2 out of 4 as a pinch hitter this year, batting at .256. 8 home runs, 34 driven in. Betances back to him. It's a strike on the breaking ball. Sean Tollison getting ready in that Ranger bullpen. I'd like to see Sean in a save situation when we come back for the 9th. Odor fouls that one straight back. And the count is a ball and 2 strikes. Betances to Odor. Got him swinging. Well, that he may not have had his best stuff going out through the first inning, but this inning, that's pretty good stuff.
Take your pick. Each pitch is unhittable. High 97-mile-an-hour fastball or a hard power curveball.
Those are bordering on video game breaking balls. Joe Girardi going out to the mound, and that's going to do it for Dellin Betances, who just short of 30 pitches, 29 of them tonight, and Joe Girardi being mindful that this is still July and wants to protect his big right-hander. So pitching change underway. Nobody on, 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's 6-6 ball game. We'll take a timeout. We're back right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Today, Michael Pineda went on the disabled list with right forearm problems. Goody recalled. Goody had been with the Yankees on Monday night. They optioned him down to AAA. Then, with the injury, recalled the right-hander. He is a 24-year-old out of Orlando, Florida, by way of LSU. Yankees selected him in the 6th round of the 2012 draft. Goody in his first stint this year at the major leagues. And he deals strike 1 to Robinson Chirinos. Chirinos drew the all-important walk to get the Rangers' 7th started. Came around to score the tying run on Prince Fielder's choice grounder. Chirinos 1 for 2 tonight, hitting at .227. Nothing and 2. This for Nick Goody is his major league debut tonight. Him down as having had one other appearance, but that was not with the Yankees this year. It was at AAA. So this is his major league debut, and back-to-back nights for some young Yankee pitchers to have their first chance in the big leagues. Last night was Caleb Gotham, who had his major league debut, and he was sent out today. Yankees kind of needing to do what the Rangers have done.
Sometimes it doesn't matter whether you pitch poorly or badly.
Yeah.
If they need arms out there and you've got options left, you might find yourself on the shuttle.
0-2 pitch. Ball and 2 strikes. Nick Goody in 4 seasons at the minor league level. Been in 86 career games. 5-7 with a career ERA of 2.35. 1-2 pitch. That Ranger bench looking for something to get re-excited about. It's been a seesaw affair tonight, and Rangers have used everybody except Tomas Telis in this ball game after Rougned Odor came on as a pinch hitter. I say everybody, every position player. Fox tracker showing you the majority of the pitches from Nick Goody up and on the outer part of the plate or outside. Another 1-2 coming to Robinson. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Warm night still, 95 degrees. Larry Rothschild, the venerable Yankee pitching coach, keeping an eye on things. Nick Goody to the plate. Well, between Goody and Betances, Rangers struck out 3 times in the inning. We're going to go to the 9th inning here at Globe Life Park. It's the Rangers 6 and the Yankees 6.
First, retire the heart of the Yankees order, then the walk-off, then Rangers Live. You see how we connect the dots there? Yes, Rangers Live coming your way immediately following the game. Me, John Radigan with Mark McLemore. Mike Bassick is with us again tonight, so make sure you tune in for all the post-game reaction. Emily will work the clubhouse. We've got Jim Knox out doing what he does. It's all coming up. Immediately following the game, it's Rangers Live. Buzz and Tom, back over to you guys.
All right, John, thank you. Well, we go to the 9th inning here at home with no save possibility for the home team. Sean Tollison is coming to the ball game here in the 9th inning. Tollison got his 18th save in last night's ball game. 18 for 19 this year for Sean, and a 2-2 record. The league hitting .244 against it. Rougned Odor stays in the ball game, takes over at second base. It'll be the 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Yankees to face Tollison. Alex Rodriguez 1 for 4 tonight.
Well, most managers, Buzz, at home will bring the closer in the 9th inning in a tie game. You can't get a save, so you can't save them for a save opportunity. I think that you figure is why save them? Get them in there for the 1 inning, hope you score and win the game in 9 innings. You save them and give up a run, then you go the whole game and you never use them. Whereas
the visiting manager usually
different decisions.
Yeah. a different story. The save is always something you have to protect against or plan for.
You bring your closer in as a visitor. In order to win the game, he's got to pitch 2 innings.
Yeah. Well, Alex Rodriguez ahead of the count now. 3 balls and no strikes. Rodriguez 1 for 4 tonight. He is hitting in front of Mark Teixeira, the cleanup man. 3-0 pitch. Go-ahead run is aboard with nobody out. Well, Sean Tollison just 8 walks before that one in 43 and a third innings. Well, that has not been a problem for the closer. We'll see if he can work around a leadoff walk here in the 9th inning. Mark Teixeira, a 2-home run game tonight. He is 3 for 3. 2 solo home runs, a single, and a walk. He has scored a total of 3 runs tonight. 1 ball, no strikes. And Robinson Chirinos going to go out and have a chat with Sean Tollison. We don't often see Sean Tollison miss with 5 straight pitches.
No, he's had a few games where the opponent's got some hits off him.
Right.
But it's never usually a streak of wildness.
Looking back over his outings, 1 is the most walks he's had in any outing. And with only a total of 9 now in 44 outings, there haven't been many of those. Now we're going to get a pinch runner. Rodriguez lifted in favor of Chris Young, fleet-footed outfielder. So Young at first, carrying the go-ahead run here in the 9th inning. Tollison with a 1-0 pitch coming to Teixeira. 2-0. Mark Teixeira, a 264 average. 26 home runs, 67 RBI. Rangers, as you have seen in that overshift to the right side. Elvis Andrus right there behind the second base umpire, Andy Fletcher. Ugnet Odor well over in the hole at first on the first base side. And Adrian Beltre playing just about a normal shortstop spot. There's a strike, 2-1. Both balls that Teixeira has hit out tonight have been fastballs on the outer part of the plate and down. That pretty much his happy zone and hasn't changed much. 2-2. Tollison able to go from corner to corner with those last 2 fastballs. Trying to make sure that Chris Young over there doesn't get a walking lead. He certainly has base stealing speed. And whether he would be given the green light here in the 9th inning or not is up to the skipper, Joe Girardi. The 2-2 pitch coming. Instead, another toss. Ranger outfield playing extremely deep. They're going to cut every extra base hit off that stays in the ballpark. Got him swinging.
Nice comeback.
Tollison with some high heat. And that is a very big out, number 1. One gone. Here's Brian McCann, who has homered and singled in 4 trips. McCann, like Teixeira, very much a low ball hitter. Or I should say better low ball than high ball. Doesn't mean he can't hit the ball that's up, but he's just much better down. And very much a pull hitter, as we see throughout the series. Average at 253 his home run tonight, the 16th of the year. There's that changeup that floats in for strike 1. Dollison checks the runners. Another off-speed pitch. 0-2. McCann, a 31-year-old. Born in Athens, Georgia. Played for his hometown Atlanta Braves. Now with the Yankees in his 2nd year. Donaldson okays the sign. Target set low and away. Fly ball right field. Back at the wall is Chu, going along the wall and makes the catch. Right up against the padding.
Boy, the way the ball's been going out to right field, he got it up in the air and you go, uh-oh. Fortunately, it looked like an off-speed pitch that he had to reach for. I don't know that he got everything behind it. Tried to almost hook that fly ball to right field. Came pretty close. Chu's got it under control. Right up against the wall. Kept him in the ballpark.
And if that wall right there is 355 feet, that was 354 feet. Yep. But just enough to stay in the yard. So 2 outs. Now Carlos Beltran. Beltran 1 for 3, a walk and a single. Young being paid attention to over at first base again. Rangers again in an extreme overshift. We've got Odor playing, somewhat deeper than shallow right field. 1 ball, no strikes. Beltran drew a walk in the 1st. He singled in the 8th inning. 1 on, 2 outs in the top of the 9th. A 6-6 ball game. Two balls, no strikes. Well, Tollison came into last night's game, had a 9-pitch, 1-inning save. Threw all 9 pitches for strikes, had a couple of strikeouts, and just blew away the Yankees. And tonight, a wholly different 9th inning, but he's looking at the same result, and that would be a 0. 3-0 the count to Beltran. Right down the middle, 3-1. Donaldson gets the sign. He's ready to go. And he popped him up. Shallow center field. Elvis out there waiting for it to come down. And that will do it. So Donaldson, a little bit rockier than last night, but able to work around the leadoff walk. Rangers will come to bat in the bottom of the 9th inning. Top of the order in a tie ball game. Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer to kick off the summer right. Ford is the best in Texas. Now, Nick Goody back out to the hill, struck out the first major league hitter that he faced in his career, Robinson Chirinos, to end the 8th. Now he's going to work here in the 9th against the top of the order, and Lionel to Shields fouls one away into the lower seating bowl. DeShields 2 for 4 tonight. Pair of singles, both of them on the infield. One of them a bunt base hit, his 8th bunt base hit of the year. Way outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Delino now with the average at 277. This is his 18th consecutive game that he's hit leadoff. Rangers a whole different look with him in that top spot, doing what he's been doing. Trying to get aboard here to start off the 9th. Tie ball game. Rangers trying to split this series with a win. We'll welcome in the San Francisco Giants tomorrow night. That's a little bit outside. 2 balls and a strike.
He's eyeballing those close ones.
Goody ready to go. The 2-1 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You get the impression that Delino never makes it easy on the opposing pitcher, no matter what the at-bat is.
He's just not afraid to take a pitch.
Yeah.
He doesn't have much concern about what the count is. He's got confidence. Very comfortable seeing a lot of pitches.
A hitter that'll get under a lot of pitchers' skin very quickly. Get frustrated with him, and that's when you start making mistakes. Yeah, I'm going to try to get rid of this guy in a couple of pitches. And nope. Check his swing on that breaking ball, and the count is full. Delino starting to get the reputation of, like Mike Napoli had. You might as well just start the count at 3-2 and save time. He's going to get there eventually. Delino trying to get aboard. He would represent the winning run. Elvis Andrus in the on-deck circle. Three balls and 2 strikes. Nick Goody out of LSU in his major league debut tonight. 24-year-old right-hander comes set. And the payoff pitch. High ball 4.
He did it. Worked the walk. Now, I don't know that I would throw him a 2-2 breaking ball unless I had a lot of confidence I could get it over the plate. You know, the biggest threat is that he gets on first base, leads off the inning with his speed. Not that he's going to drive a double or a home run. So you got to throw whatever you can throw for a strike. The last thing you want to do there is walk.
Exactly. And Joe Girardi very quickly out of the dugout. He's going to the bullpen. So with the winning run at first, Andrew Miller, the hard-throwing closer, coming in. And Rangers will face him with the winning run on base. Timeout here at Globe Life Park. We're back right after this. not being able to use his closer if he didn't get past the 9th inning has gone to him here with 1 on and nobody out. Andrew Miller has just been devastating, along with Dylan Betances this year. They formed quite a duo. Miller, the 30-year-old out of University of North Carolina. He was a collegiate pitcher of the year his last year at North Carolina, and the Roger Clemens Award that year. Originally signed with Detroit, signed a free agent contract with the Yankees.
He's actually been tougher to hit than Betances has as far as opponents' batting average goes. Looked at as a starting pitcher when he signed as a high draft choice. He traded a couple of times and finally found his niche. Late inning relief.
Fly ball, center field, hit well, going back, and near the wall is Ellsbury, and he comes down with it.
So that might be the farthest ball Elvis has ever hit to center field.
What a play by Ellsbury, who never had time to slow down before he got to the wall.
That's the longest ball Elvis has hit in this ballpark to center field. I don't think he's hit one out of here. And that's as close as you can hit it and have it stay in the ballpark. And we got a fastball right down the middle of the plate, and he was ready for it. Of course, Ellsbury is not playing him as deep as he would play some other players. More of a threat that Elvis is going to get a base hit than hit an extra base hit over your head. And he almost got it over his head, just hit it a little bit too high.
Sure did.
Boy, hit that ball hard.
And Delino DeShields was going halfway. He was not able to get back and tag up to advance.
Yeah, that was tough to predict what was going to happen on that one. Ellsbury was on the run. He was able to tag up. It would have worked just like a sacrifice. No way Ellsbury was going to get the ball in from way back there.
Well, Leonis Martin up there. And Leonis 0 for 2 in his previous appearances against Andrew Miller. Inside, and the count goes to 2-0. Martin came on as a pinch runner for Prince Fielder back in the 7th inning. Now facing Andrew Miller. Martin hitting at .218, 5 home runs, 25 RBI. Miller with a 2-0 pitch instead on the first, and Delino back standing. Miller, the last several years with Boston, played the second half of last year with the Orioles in Baltimore. This is his first opportunity as a major league closer. It's out of play on the left side. 2 balls and a strike. Martin just 1 out of 5 on this homestand. Only had 2 starts since the All-Star break. But he's appeared in every ball game for the Rangers in some capacity. A line drive that hits Delino DeShields. Delino trying to jump over the ball and hit him. It'll go as a base hit for Leonis Martin, but DeShields is out. And boy, that had first and third written all over it.
Definitely. Might have been second and third. As hard as that ball was hit, it might have. I think it would have gone to the wall. I don't think Beltran could have cut it off. Boy, against a tough lefty, Leonis just drilled that ball. Hit so hard, Delino couldn't get out of the way.
So 2 outs now. Martin at first. Here's Adrian Beltre. We'll see if Leonis Martin can take off. One more look at that. And Delino, from Delino's perspective, you saw that thing come up and hit him right on the shin.
That is a bad break.
Beltre 1 for 8 in his career against Andrew Miller. The Rangers have hit a couple of rockets off of Miller in this inning. Elvis flying out 403 feet to center field. And then that bolt off of Leonis Martin's bat.
We're talking about a guy that's given up an opponent's batting average of about 100. Rangers have hit 2 balls as hard as the individual hitter can possibly hit a ball.
Just the back leg skipped off the dirt.
Well, he got Delano going back on that ball. I must have thought it was going to be a pickoff move. Otherwise, if he takes a secondary lead, he's probably past the ball when it was hit. But Miller kind of froze him there at first base, and that's as far off as he could get.
2-0 to Beltre. Now 3-0. Adrian might have the green light here. In any event, Josh Hamilton swinging a bat in that on-deck circle. 3-0 pitch on the outside corner. 3-1. Eight career walk-off home runs for Adrian Beltre. Inside, ball 4, and the winning run moves to second base with Josh Hamilton coming out. Josh Hamilton, you saw it again in the first inning tonight off of C.C. Sabathia, a 3-run bolt that got the Rangers even at that juncture. They answered the Yankee 3 in the top of the first with Josh's 3 in the bottom. Now a chance to win the ball game, and it won't take a home run. That wouldn't hurt, but it wouldn't take that. Inside for ball 1. Hamilton against Andrew Miller is 1 for 6. The man that counts out at second base, Leonis Martin, carrying the winning run. That breaking ball is a bit low. 2 balls, no strikes.
Josh worked the walk tonight. Took a 3-2 breaking ball his last time up in Betances, and now he's laid off an inside fastball and a breaking ball slightly outside. Works the count to 2-0. The winning run at second base.
Miller to Hamilton. Base hit to right field. Here comes Leonis around third. He's going to score. Josh Hamilton walks the Rangers off in the bottom of the 9th inning, 7-6. The Rangers came in and beat the best here tonight as Andrew Miller gave up the game winner to Josh Hamilton.
Good night for Josh. There's a 3-run homer, and he caps it off. And that's the difference between swinging early in the count at pitches slightly out of the strike zone and getting behind in the count, or being patient and taking 2 pitches, getting ahead in the count. Now you can look for a fastball. He got the fastball, and he ripped it into right field for a base hit.
Josh Hamilton, the walk-off single. 34,407 got to their feet in a hurry to cheer Leonis Martin around third and in to score the game winner. And Josh Hamilton, his second walk-off hit of this year for the Rangers. And the Rangers end up splitting the series with the New York Yankees in comeback fashion tonight. A seesaw affair, but Rangers had the last C in that saw. Elvis and the rest of the teammates just ecstatic.
They had a good 9th inning. The 2 outs that they made were a 400-foot fly ball and a rope that hit the runner. And Andrew Miller, one of the toughest guys in baseball to hit, the Rangers lit him up tonight.
Yep. Oh, the celebration going on in the Ranger dugout with Josh Hamilton. And right now, let's head down to the field because Josh is standing by with Emily Jones.
It's a very new, tame sort of celebration. It was water in a cooler. We were all warned. Josh just stood there and took it like a man. It's been a while since there's been a celebratory shower. I'm sure you'll take it.
I will. And we made sure we didn't get you this time. And I'm sure you do. It's fun. Playing the Yankees is always fun. To battle back and forth between teams, between fans in the stadium. And it always feels good to have that win.
Take me through the at-bat, getting ahead in the count, how patient you were and how important that was.
I mean, when you got a guy, closer like him, lefty, throws hard, has a good slider. You want to see him. And it's one of those things where I had at-bats throughout the night where I was really calm, and I had a couple where I wasn't. So that's the process we're going through. Understanding there's guys on base and pressure's on him, it's not on me.
I know that you guys have not played the way you wanted to at home, but winning back-to-back games now, the sense of urgency to get something going as the games become fewer and fewer.
Yeah, it's there. We always want to play good at home. For some reason we hadn't had the fire, but we're getting it back. And, it's in the clubhouse, it's coming out in the dugout, and it's soon going to start coming out on the field every night.
Josh, congratulations on the win. Thanks for the time. We appreciate it. We'll send it back now to you guys.
All right, Em, a lot of excitement out of the ballpark tonight. We'll be back to wrap things up with the totals and to get you all ready for Rangers Live coming up right after our show. Time out. We'll be right back after this.